I mean, it's just insane. Oh, it's been 3 weeks. Okay, get a grip. I mean, honestly, people have no idea what's involved here. A thorough background investigation must be completed. You have to prove who you are, where you're from, what you're saying is true. That has to take place. There's an administrative process that has to take place. Interviews have to be conducted. Medical screening has to be done. All this stuff takes time.
Down in Pretoria, they were picking another fight, throwing stones at Washington on the evening news each night. They mocked the orange man from podiums and floors, didn't know they'd push him till he opened up the door. Now there's suitcases lined up from Durban to the Cape, families making plans that they swore they'd never make. 10,000 more leaving, saying we can't do this anymore. Funny how the backlash came when Trump opened the door. Trump opened the door, swung that old barn wide. Now the planes keep lifting off on another midnight ride. Human capital's fleeing, tax base receding, the GNU's bleeding right down to the core. What's Solomola gonna tell the people next? Can Cyril blame Afrikaners for another train wreck? And Fikele keeps talking like he's settling a score, while the whole damn country's changing, 'cause Trump opened the door. They sold the rainbow dream like salvation on TV, but too many graves were dug beside the poverty. Gangsters run the corners, corruption fills the halls, and state neglect keeps echoing through abandoned factory walls. Cyril says don't worry now, tomorrow's looking bright, but candles still replace the power nearly every night. No white men in management, they brag from marble floors, but black poverty ain't shrinking like they promised years before. Trump opened the door, swung that old barn wide. Now the farmers and the teachers all got one foot outside. Human capital's fleeing, tax base receding, the GNU's bleeding right down to the core. What's Solomola gonna tell the people next? Can Cyril blame Afrikaners for another train wreck? And Fikele keeps counting ghosts nobody's looking for, while the future packs its bags, 'cause Trump opened the door. How much can the gangsters in Parliament steal? How many fake fortunes dressed up as the real? How many young people gotta lose all hope before the whole damn nation runs clean out of rope? Mama says the country used to feel alive, now every goodbye cuts like a knife. One more family headed somewhere north, one more flag folded up on the porch. Trump opened the door, and the flood came through, for the tired and forgotten who just needed something new. South Africans fleeing, the ANC reeling, things going from bad to worse way down south. The Rainbow Nation promise faded into pain, too many mothers crying in the pouring rain.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Good afternoon, good evening to folks around the country and around the world. Pleasure to have you back in the program again today. It is Thursday, May 21st, 2026. Well, we've managed to take care of a few things. Election has come and gone. The primaries here in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, which occupied my time from 4:30 a.m. until 11 p.m. It went very well, but the turnout was only 14% of registered voters. Very disappointing, but not a surprise given the conditions, with lots of road closures in the local area, oppressive heat over 95 degrees and high humidity, as well as the fact that virtually no one was competing for any office. And so people who came out just did so because they exercised their civic right every time. So low turnout. Then yesterday, very busy with the programs, also counseling, and then additionally went and placed flags at cemetery. You may have seen that video on this channel if you've taken the time. I'd appreciate it. Not many people have watched it. Once again, for those always talking to me about just it's all about the clicks and that's all I care about. Obviously, when you put a video up that only gets a few hundred, few thousand views, it's going to wreck the algorithm and they're going to stop following you. But I do that habitually because I report what matters, not what drives clicks. And that's a fact. You can look at the videos I do. I do plenty of videos that are focused on the important things. And placing flags to honor our veterans at our cemeteries is an important thing. And letting the world know how Americans honor their veterans who passed is important. And that's why I do it. So that was yesterday. And then my radio program last night. We did a Night Owls last night. It was a sour moment because, hey, Erica. There's Erica. She's using all caps, but we'll let Erica slide. So a sour moment because Facebook removed my interview, the 12 May interview that I had done with Afrikaners, with South Africans, with the 59ers, and then a few who came afterwards. That was that interview. There's nothing wrong with the interview. It was falsely removed. They claimed by their artificial intelligence who discovered nudity in the interview. There was no nudity in the interview. That's total nonsense. So I appealed it, and we added some moderators in addition because to this point, the only one that's been a moderator on there, admin on there since the outset has been Erica, and now she's got some company on there. And I think Erica may have saved my video in part, but I appealed it, and it was restored this morning. But the damage is done. These social media companies who attack content creators with no justification whatsoever, it's ridiculous. But that video has been restored on Facebook, and I've now posted the video about the Jewish refugee services on there as well. And a South African Jew is angry, not at me, but at what the Jewish Family Services and the HI, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, are doing to South Africans, and will contact Jewish authorities in South Africa to see if they have any influence over these groups. So that's an update on what's been happening. Additionally, the interview I did last week with Alex Newman in Florida, when I went to see Alex at his nice new digs, nicer than where I used to live. When I was there, Alex and I talked and we did an interview. I'll play a few moments of that here on air. Alex did give me permission to use the content. But meanwhile, let's talk about the news in South Africa. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is in Botswana. Does anybody care? I don't think anybody cares. He should be in South Africa facing impeachment. President Ramaphosa on a state visit to Botswana for the South Africa Binational Commission in Gaborone. 6th session. Okay, great. Well, here's part of the interview with Alex Newman, debunking media lies about Afrikaner refugees in the U.S. That's an old photograph of me right there. Look at that. That's from 2012. That's, what, 14 years ago already.
What's the quick update on where South Africa is right now?
Well, frankly, it's sad. It's sad for me to say this. It saddens me. That South Africa's imploding.
Yeah.
They have of the 78 countries that have ocean-going ports, they're ranked 78th in the world by international organization. The corruption is off the charts. Just today, yesterday or the weekend, we had 2 senior police officers, 2-star generals, essentially major generals, in the police arrested for corruption over smuggling gold inside the country. We have an entire commission going on that's identifying police corruption at the highest levels. The political corruption, you can't go a day in South Africa without revealing a new corruption case against a senior member of government. And all of the senior members are implicated, and it's just getting worse. Service delivery is bad, electricity, water, there's not enough water in many places, the roads are falling apart, and crime is off the charts. We have gangster organizations that run the construction industry and the taxi industry, 2 industries that South Africans rely on. The industries are going away. The smelters, there were 19 of them when the ANC took over. There are 2 left. One just shut down, the other's about to shut down. So they won't even be able to smelt steel or iron anymore. It's really sad what's going on here. It's just a matter of time before people really just start taking the streets.
Is it becoming Zimbabwe?
This is going to be worse than Zimbabwe.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be orders of magnitude worse than Zimbabwe if something doesn't change. November 4th, they have municipal elections. It's a chance to change things locally, but not at the national level. It's going to take action by the international community like it did end apartheid before South Africa begins to turn the corner because the voters aren't doing it.
Wow. Chris, you have a marvelous YouTube channel, very widely followed across Africa, especially South Africa and the South African community in America. How do people follow your work?
Sure, thanks, Alex. My main channel is at Colonel Chris Wyatt, like in Wyatt Earp, W-Y. Well, you guys don't need to know that. You know where it's at. Anyway, so that was my interview with Alex Newman. The link to Liberty Sentinel and that report is at the top of the chat if you want to check it out after we're done. It's about a 17-minute interview. So, yep. And I really pushed my luck there. I got back to the airport in time. But, yeah, so I made everything worked out. Meanwhile, the Cape Independence Advocacy Group, headed by Phil Craig, has published a letter by Phil, an open letter to President Trump about self-determination of future South Africa. While I appreciate what Phil is trying to do here, he's trying to say that we appreciate what you're trying to do to help South Africans with the refugee program, but the answer for South Africans, for the minorities, isn't to leave the country. Sharon Gosselin, thank you for 35 Rand super sticker, and the hippos, is not to leave the country. It's to stay and fight for the country, and he's asking President Trump to come up with an alternative foreign policy program for South Africa. So I will discuss this in a separate video. I just wanted to share it with you. He said, Africa is our home. We can flee, and it's a statistical fact that many have chosen to do so, but to flee is to surrender. When Americans were transforming an untamed frontier into the most advanced and powerful nation on earth, we were transforming Africa south into the most advanced and powerful nation in Africa. When Americans fought tyranny, fascism, communism, we stood with you. We stood the best when it came to technology, art, medicine, literature. Debbie Fox, thank you for 350 Rand super chat. Thank you very much. Time for a change. The Daily Maverick runs a story from the Atlantic Council by Colin Coleman about Rolf Meyer. A year ago, President Ramaphosa was ambushed in the White House. Today, Rolf Meyer will present his credentials as President Trump as the new South African ambassador to Washington. The hope is this act will restore diplomatic channels and reset relations between the two nations. Today, Tuesday, May 21st, marks the first anniversary of U.S. President Donald Trump's ambush, as described by the Financial Times. I appreciate that he put that in there, of President Ramaphosa, and ironically, the day in which Rolf Meyer is to present credentials to President Trump as the South African ambassador to Washington. Well, maybe that's why the White House is about to go live. Is anybody still on top of that? Let me see if I can find it. I don't think that's the reason why, but let me see. I'm trying to find White House. Apparently, they're going to have something. I think it has to do with Iran. Where's the White House? Oh, it's an announcement of the administrator for the EPA. South Africa might come.
And this is with the Iran conflict. That'll end soon, very soon. And when it ends, your gasoline prices will go down lower than they were before. You know, I left Iowa a few months ago, and gasoline was at $1.85 a gallon.
That's right.
And we'll be hitting numbers like that again.
Mr. President, on the Supreme Court.
We'll be hitting them in a much nicer way, by the way. We will be hitting them, and we will have a country that will not have a nuclear weapon. Yeah,
So what is today's executive?
On the Supreme Court, sir, we're still waiting for the decision on birthright citizenship. You attended the oral arguments of that. Can you just explain what's at stake with that decision, sir?
It's a big decision that we're waiting for from the Supreme Court. We had a terrible tariff decision. They cost our country a fortune. They said do it a different way. We're doing it a different way, but we're going to most likely have to pay back $149 billion. All they had to do is put a little sentence in there, half a sentence, saying that any monies paid don't have to be paid back. You know, you're talking about the people in many cases that hate our country. Give them back money. It was a terrible decision. And it's not going to affect because we do the tariffs a different way. The tariffs are what's bringing in all of this money. It's really made our country rich, modernly rich. Now we have another one coming up, which is birthright citizenship. And we're the only country in the world that has it. You step into our country and you're all of a sudden a citizen. You come in a certain way. This was not meant for Chinese billionaires to have their children become citizens of our country. This was meant, or other rich people, poor people. This was meant
That guy's umbilical
for
cord.
the babies of slaves.
He's got an
This
Audi.
was signed right after the Civil War. You look at the dates alone, immediately after. This was having to do with the babies of slaves. And people have used it. And if this is allowed to stand, it will be a disaster economically for our country. And you'll have 25% of the people coming into our country coming in through birthright citizenship. And we won't have any control. This decision by the Supreme Court is a very big one. They'll probably rule against me because they seem to like doing that. You know, frankly, I'm not happy with some of the decisions. Look at NIL. Look what they've done. Look what the courts have done to college sports. They're destroying college sports. They're destroying universities. But birthright citizens are a big deal. And literally, if that's allowed to stand, and again, this was a civil war. This was right after the Civil War. And it has to do with the babies of slaves. It doesn't have to do with the babies of very rich people coming into the country. One of them came in with 57 children, okay, 57 children. They're using the system, and it's usually people that hate our country, if you want to know the truth. Birthright citizen is done by no other country in the world the way we're doing it. We're a laughing stock.
He's right.
If the Supreme Court approves that decision, they have done a great disservice to the United States of America, just like they did a great disservice by costing us $149 billion on tariffs by saying do it a different way. Get the same result, do it a different way. We should have won that decision. We had a very strong, very powerful dissent. We had 3 dissents. So it wasn't like a unanimous decision by any means. We had very powerful dissents. When you read that dissent, people that read that dissent say, you really should have won this case. We should have won that case on tariffs. That case cost our country $149 million. It goes to people that hate our country. So now we have another one coming up, birthright citizenship. It would be a disgrace. It would be a disgrace if the Supreme Court of the United States allows that to happen. Remember what I said, 20 to 25% of the people coming into our country will come in through birthright citizenship. They'll become citizens through birthright citizenship, and it'll cost us numbers that are, I don't even think they're doable. And it's all up to a couple of people, and I hope they do what's right. Birthright citizenship is a disgrace. The fact that, look at the people that are bringing the suit. Study the people that are bringing the suit. These are not people that love our country, I can
Correct.
tell you that.
They hate America.
Why has today's executive order on AI been postponed? And
Because I didn't like certain aspects of it. I postponed it. I think it gets in the way of, we're leading China, we're leading everybody, and I don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that lead. We have a very substantial on AI. It's causing tremendous good, and it's also bringing in a lot of jobs, tremendous numbers of jobs. Again, we have more people working right now than we've ever had. I really thought that could have been a blocker, and I want to make sure that it's not.
Mr. President, your order. Mr. President. With President Xi last week, did you discuss AI safeguards?
Who, what?
In China last week with President Xi,
Yes.
did you discuss
I
AI safeguards?
I discussed it. And he acknowledges how well we're doing. We're doing well. He's doing, it's the two of us. The two countries are fighting for it. Other countries are way behind, way behind. They're fighting for it. They want it. Everybody wants it, but they're way behind. But I didn't want to do it. I postponed that meeting. It was a press conference. It was a signing, actually. because I didn't like what I was seeing.
Mr. President, a few moments ago, the Commission of Fine Arts approved your design, the design for your arch. Do you think you need congressional approval for it?
I finally get good news from them.
Do you think you need
What was the
congressional
vote? Do you know what the
approval for it,
vote was?
sir?
What was the vote?
I'm just seeing the headline here. I don't have the exact vote. But
So we're building what's called the Triumphal Arch, right opposite the Arlington Memorial Bridge, right by Arlington Cemetery. It's beautiful. It's the Arc de Triomphe would be the one that you would probably know in Paris. It's one of the most beautiful. It's a very similar size, slightly larger. We have to do slightly larger. It doesn't have to be a lot larger. Otherwise, you'd all be disappointed in me. But it's even far more beautiful. And I think that the Arc de Triomphe is beautiful. It's a couple of 100 years old, but I think it's beautiful. And some arcs go back over 1,000 years. And it's called a triumphal arc. It's usually done for victories in war and things. There are 59 of them in the world. And some are really beautiful. And we're the only major, Washington, D.C., which should be number one. We're the only important and major city that doesn't have one. We don't have a triumphal arch. So it was meant to be built for many years. The circle going up to the bridge, it was, people pass that circle, they say, why isn't something built here? And so that's very good. We just got approval from Fine Arts. That's fantastic.
Right, but you need Congress to sign off on it.
No, we don't. No, we're doing it. It's the land is owned by the Interior Department. We don't need anything from Congress.
Are you
Mr.
attending
President, in fact, on that-
attending your son's wedding this weekend, by the way?
He'd like me to go, but it's going to be just a small little private affair, and I'm going to try and make it. I'm in the midst. I said, this is not good timing for me. I have a thing called Iran and other things. That's one I can't win on. If I do attend, I get killed. If I don't attend, I get killed. By the fake news, of course, I'm talking about. No, but he's got a very person who I've known for a long time, and hopefully they're going to have a great marriage.
Mr. President, actually to add to the art, I just actually passed by it on my way here.
Right.
Saw the pink flags, and
Right.
there's just geese that are there all the time.
Right.
So that's perfect. How long will that take? And also I have to say, I have to pass along something for my mother, who she drove in with me. She was amazed by all the people she was seeing on the streets here in D.C. She doesn't get in here as much.
D.C. is hot again.
She was noticing how clean and beautiful it was,
Clean.
so I'm passing it along.
That's right. Well, that's what I do. Clean. You take a look outside. We had a broken path. It was so terrible coming into the White House. It was slate. Slate's a roofing material. It's not a walking material. But the slate was all broken and chipped and terrible. And I put down a new granite floor and paid for it myself, by the way. But I put down a nice new granite floor. It looks beautiful. It's actually getting rave reviews. It's beautiful. It's a terrible having people walking up to the White House and they're walking over broken tiles and broken floors. So now we just finished. It's going to be finished when the moldings are put on. But you might take a look at it. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's beautiful.
It was very beautiful.
Of other things we're doing while you're at it, we've fixed, we have 31 fountains in Washington. Of the 31, not one worked. Now we have 21 working, and the others are going to be fixed. And people are calling and saying, it's amazing what's happened, the fountains, and they're working top level. And my most exciting is the reflecting pool between the Washington Monument and the Washington Monument Lincoln Memorial. It's 2,500 feet long by almost 200 feet wide. It's a massive structure, if you think of it. It's taller than the tallest building in the world. If you sat the building down, the tallest building in the world would not reach the end of it. It's a very big thing. It hasn't worked properly.
Doesn't look like
since
South
it was
Africa's
built
gonna
in
come up or go.
1922. President Obama and Biden spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to fix it. They didn't. Of course, they couldn't do that. They didn't fix it. It was a mess. So mostly they turned it off, collecting garbage. It looked horrible. And we are very close to getting it finished. And when it's finished, it'll be beautiful. It'll be blue water, dark blue. We call it American flag blue because that's the name of the color that we chose. American flag blue. Can't do better than that. It's a rich, dark blue. And it'll be, I think, very reflective, very, very good. Big project. I decided to do a much bigger job. I was going to just get it open. But I said, let's do it right. Let's get it open and let's have it be good. Because President Obama, President Biden spent
35
hundreds of
million.
millions of dollars.
35
Much
million.
more than 100 million, but hundreds of millions. It never worked. In fact, when they finished it, it was much worse than it was before. It leaked at a higher level. They would have to fill it up every single day with water. The whole thing was ridiculous, so they ended up turning it off, and it became like a garbage dump. Well, it's pretty close to finished. So they had estimates of $350
Thank you,
million
moderator.
to fix it. I'll be doing it for a tiny fraction of that. A bigger job than I originally thought I'd do it for $2 or $3 million, just do a base. But now we're fixing up the exterior of it. We're doing, so we'll probably be in there for less than $20 million. And the estimate was going to be using a different method, 350. It was going to take 4 years, 350 million. I'll be doing it in basically a couple of months for less than $20 million. That includes all of the exterior base, which I never included in my original numbers. When I went there last week, I saw the exterior was in very bad shape, as well as the interior, so I said, we're going to fix that too. The stone. It's going to be beautiful. When that's done, you might see it. It's probably 3/4 done. We have rain delays. We get a lot of delays, but that will be something special. The reflecting pool in front of the Lincoln and Washington monuments. I think it's going to be incredible. It's largely done. If you want to go see it, you can see it before we put the water in. The key is to have it done before July 4th.
Of course.
We want to see if we can have it done before July 4th. But we have about 20 or 21
Just block the person,
of the
moderator.
water features in Washington open.
Give him a 30-minute
And I can
timeout.
say, we top of the line, they look better than they did the day they were built. Some of them have been closed for 25, 30 years. There's been no water for 25 or 30 years. And they're really beautiful. Some of the fountains are as beautiful as I've ever seen. And you probably see them. And in addition to that, you brought up something. Washington, D.C. is now a safe city. We had a city that was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the country, and now it's considered a very safe city. Restaurants are opening. Restaurants were closing. You couldn't go to a restaurant. The restaurants were closing all over because of the danger from during the Biden administration. Now you have restaurants opening. It's thriving, and it was very nice that you said that. I like this reporter. I have no, it's nice. We have a vibrant city again. People are going out. I have a lot of people in the White House. Every time I see somebody, they thank me, and I know immediately what. They thank me for making the city safe. They walk to work now. Before that, they'd take Uber or something, and they felt unsafe even in Uber. You know, we moved over 5,000 people out of the city, career criminals that came in through the open borders and other reasons, and we moved over 5,000. And an interesting statistic is that 2% of the population creates 91% of the crime.
That's true.
And the reason I like that is that you can handle 2% of the population. Mr. Kroger, I see you have stores in Washington? You see a big difference?
We do.
Well, you said the right thing. Could you imagine? That would have been the end of Kroger. All right, okay, we'll do one or two more. Yeah, please.
Do you think Democrats are genuine in their focus on affordability, especially after they delivered 40-year high inflation last time they were in power? And then, or do you think they're using it or focusing on it as a means to try and win midterms and begin the impeachment process?
Look, the Democrats had the highest inflation in the history of our country. 48 years, they say, but the history of our country. They had the highest inflation that we've ever had. When I inherited it, I inherited very high prices. And from day one, they said, affordability is the word, because they're good at that. They're good at words, but I'm good at words too. But they hit me with affordability. I'd just gotten there. They hit me with eggs. We had a news conference on my third day, and they said, egg prices are through the roof. I said, I just got here. Tell me about eggs. And we got the prices down, way down, actually lower than it was 4 years before. But we've gotten everything. The thing that we have now, the only thing that's really of great concern, two things. Beef is coming down, and the reason is they put restrictions on beef under the Biden administration, and it takes a while to settle that, but prices are down. But the big thing is, of course, energy. We had the energy way down, but I had to do a journey to Iran. I had to say, you know, we just hit the best markets. By the way, the stock market today is at the highest it's ever been. And we've had 59 of them, 59 days out of a very short period of time where the stock market hit all-time high.
Biden administration
So we have a
killed
all-time
60 million
high
hens.
stock market. We have all-time high job numbers. We have 401ks just hit the highest number they've ever been. So many of you have 401ks. That means you're richer than you've ever been. And we're doing really well. But they came up with this word, affordability. But it's them that caused the problem. And they used that word, Senator, they used that word right from the beginning. I was in one day, and I heard somebody on television say, affordability. And I inherited this mess from them. But we've got it in great shape. The country's doing well. We're respected all over the world. This country is respected. We're the hottest country. We were a dead country 2 years ago. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. So I think most of you appreciate that. Some of you don't. Yeah, please.
Mary Pickett, Washington Times. If the Supreme Court doesn't rule in your favor on birthright citizenship, are there any other avenues that your administration has explored to remedy this? And did you talk with President Xi about Chinese foreign nationals taking advantage of birth tourism here in this country and how many could happen?
Well, it's a great question. No, if the Supreme Court hurts our country by ruling against us on birthright citizenship, that would be just between that and tariffs, what damage they've done, what damage they've done. Again, they could have said, which they said, do the tariffs a different way. But they could have said the money taken in, hundreds of billions of dollars, $149 billion we have to pay back. Kevin understands that better than anybody. All they had to do is say, any money taken in, because they agree you could do it a different way. Any money, this is a better way. But the other way is a very secure way. And maybe in many ways it's a stronger way. They could have said any money taken in thus far does not have to be paid back to, in many cases, the enemy, people that don't like our country.
Yep.
Or it was a half a sentence. The Supreme Court could have saved us $149 billion with a half a sentence. But they chose not to do that. Now they have a ruling which is a much bigger ruling, actually, birthright citizenship. The cost, forgetting about the fact that it's wrong, the cost of birthright citizenship is barely not affordable by our country. It's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars.
Notice there's no questions or comments about Africa or South
It's a
Africa
common sense
or
ruling.
refugees.
It's common sense. It was exact timing. And it's about the babies of slaves. Thank you for that question.
He said two more. This is the third question.
So do you think if Democrats were to take control of Congress again, they would immediately begin the impeachment process?
I think if Democrats took control of the Congress, I think that, and let's say took control of the country, I think that this country's finished. These people are sick. They suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, but really they have bad policy. They have horrible policy. They cheat on elections. They get elected by cheating on elections. But you would have 2 states added. They'll terminate the filibuster immediately. Republicans should do that. They'll terminate the filibuster. You'll have Washington, D.C., and you'll have Puerto Rico as a state, which will be a disaster.
Yep.
Which would be 4 Senate seats, tremendous numbers of electoral college votes. You will have that's really bad, but you will have the destruction of our country. They want to go to 21 Supreme Court judges. That's their perfect number. They talk about 13, but they want to go to 21 Supreme Court judges.
Insane.
If
9
they
is
get
enough.
in power, I think this country would be
Gone.
maybe finished. If I didn't win the election, I'll say this, we've become the hottest country anywhere in the world. We were a dead country 2 years ago. If I didn't win this election, we would have been a country that was essentially, I don't even know that we would have been a country any longer. They were destroying our country. They were letting hundreds of thousands, millions of people pour through our southern border.
Yep.
Criminals,
terrorists,
people from jails, people from mental institutions, drug dealers and drug addicts. They were sending everybody, countries were sending everybody that they didn't want by the millions, 25 million people. If I didn't win this election, I believe our country would have been finished. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that's President Trump. Let me just get these get these windows straight now, because for some reason my camera's not working properly here. So I have to. There we go. Now let's turn that one back on. Something not quite right in the settings here. There we go. All right, we're back. That was President Trump live from the White House, and you'll notice there was no mention of South Africa there or the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, because in the scheme of things, they're not really important. I'm not mean hurt by his feelings, but they're not when it comes to the United States. And frankly, it's the same for China. It's just not important when it comes to it. But yeah, so I think that's important for us to talk about, and it was good to see President Trump there. We're going to talk about the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act here a little bit later on, so just hang in there. We'll get to that shortly. Just a second, something's wrong here. There we go, that's where it goes. And to reset something on the screen here. Okay, we're back now. All right, so President Trump talking about all kinds of things, but not about South Africa. All right, continue on with where we were in the news just before we were interrupted by President Trump so rudely. No. Rolf Myers, what we were talking about, which is apropos. He's supposed to present his credentials to President Trump today. And so just shortly after arriving in America, the Trump administration will allow him to present his credentials, whereas Ramaphosa made our ambassador wait over 6 weeks to present his credentials, as if Ramaphosa is a potentate and an emperor or something like that. He just makes people wait. Very disrespectful to the most powerful country in the world. But hey, you know what? We didn't play the same game. So, disengagement is foolhardy. I agree from the Atlantic Council. Cause for celebration. The good news, however, there must be celebrated, is that today our diplomatic channel will finally be formally restored. Only a fortnight ago, I was able to meet privately and separately within days of each other Ambassador Rolf Meyer and Ambassador Brent Bozell. Given the undeniable tension relationship, the task of the two ambassadors no less than to calm the waters, reset relations, find common ground when many profound differences seem insurmountable. I've known Rolf Meyer well since working with him in the South African transition constitutional negotiations. I've always found him to be an honorable patriot. Rolf, whose political identity is inseparable from compromise itself, of all people, understands the need to find balanced solutions among parties that profoundly disagree with each other, even when doing so result in him being accused of betrayal. Well, that's because he did betray. He gave South Africa a political system that is corrupt to the core. Colin Coleman is a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, adjunct professor at Columbia, and co-chairman of Youth Unemployment. Well, Columbia, woke. There you go. Atlantic Council, woke. So there you go. Bottom line here, folks, is that this is delusional to think that the relationship will reset with the arrival of a Faraya from South Africa to Washington, D.C. The arrival of Rolf Meyer doesn't change 145 race-based laws. It doesn't change the mocking and the shameful conduct of Gwede Mantashe, Ronald Lamola, Cyril Ramaphosa, Fikile Mbalula towards our president and towards this nation. It doesn't remove the stain of the racist commentary by Ibrahim Rasool. It does not remove the barriers to our products going into South Africa. It does not remove the racial persecution of coloreds, Indians, and white South Africans. Nothing will change until the government of South Africa changes, as long as this president is in office. Maybe when some feckless, cowardly little loser like Gavin Newsom becomes president, maybe then South Africa can get away with this racism and hatred of ethnic minorities at will without any consequences to the United States, but not with this president. So the arrival of Rolf Meyer will not move the needle at all. He'll go to coffee, he'll have lunch with people, he'll go to meetings and ceremonies, and it will not change the system at all. Not at all. Not a break. Not a break. No change. Meanwhile, let's talk about someone else in foreign policy. Little Ronnie Lamola, the failed justice minister and failed foreign minister, says that BRICS is okay. Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. Peter Fabricius writes that BRICS members at odds over Iran war. But Lamola insists the bloc retains solidarity. No. Why am I not logged in? Oh, I logged into this already. All right, well, I was in that story reading earlier, but Peter Fabricius pens an interesting story about Ronald Lamola's delusional world where he thinks that BRICS is in good order. It's not. Well, you may not have load shedding, but you do have load reduction, which is simply a renaming for load shedding so the South African government criminals can pretend that they're delivering electricity for people with their communist-owned state power utility instead of private power providers. The only people who have reliable power in South Africa are those who install their own generation capacity. But people are without power for days now because of storms. And the lack of capacity by Eskom to restore power. We've had no electricity for 16 days in the Garden Route. Garden Route residents have no choice but to throw away food that's gone bad in their fridges and freezers, sit in dark homes without water, and wonder how much longer they can survive as a blackout that started more than a fortnight ago continues to cripple daily life at small businesses. By today, residents had entered their 16th day without reliable electricity or water after repeated instances of cable theft. This follows freak weather earlier this month that battered towns along the southeastern coast of the Western Cape, including Craggs, Plettenberg Bay, Sedgefield, and parts of George. The severe weather now has claimed 11 lives, up from the previously reported 10 lives. eThekwini municipality is under fire for irregular spending of 4.4 billion rand. eThekwini Municipal has been rocked by a staggering 4.4 billion. Better Rolf the White Ambassador, dim the lights. There you go. Thank you for the 40 rand super chat. The damning details emerged during a briefing to Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts, where the city's leadership faced intense scrutiny over material irregularities and crumbling governance systems. Report noted that 657 million rand in irregular expenditure stemmed specifically from hiring the water trucks while the city was supposedly trying to buy its own fleet. Jeez. Democratic Alliance MP Farat Essak launched a scathing attack on city officials, accusing city manager Musa Mbele of failing to enforce accountability. How does one explain this? I mean, 4.4 billion in regular expenditure. In the 2023-2024 financial year, you had 1.6 billion in regular expenditure. So in 24 months, 6.4 billion was written off in 2 financial years. I mean, in the interest of accountability, how do you account for such an amount being written off? Who's responsible? What's going on? Well, what is going on? More ANC theft, more corruption, more incompetence, more nonsense. And speaking of that, foreign nationals are under attack again by the xenophobic racist in South Africa. We're not illegal foreigners. Scores of immigrants seek shelter at Durban's Diakonie Center. After fleeing alleged threats and violence in the community, scores of foreign nationals, including young children, spent the night sleeping on the floor of Diakonie Center in central Durban, seeking safety and shelter from the murderous thugs that are South Africans. Wrapped in blankets and huddled together, families endured uncertainty and fear as humanitarian organization Gift the Giver stepped in to provide aid, including food, blankets, and essential support. Amid the unfolding crisis, IOL spoke to some migrants who shared accounts of alleged displacement, trauma, and their desperate hope for protection in a country that they'd come to call home. Vivini Bhatti from the DRC said the group had been informed that the Department of Home Affairs would need to verify the status of those present before any intervention assistance could be properly coordinated. And I want to ask this question, ladies and gentlemen. Where is Gift of the Givers getting all this money? They show up everywhere. Floods here, earthquakes there, collapsed buildings here, xenophobia there. They go everywhere. And they go abroad. Where are they getting all this money? Does anybody ever look at the finances of Gift of the Givers? I mean, I'm not saying they're doing anything untoward, but I've never seen them do any fundraising in South Africa. Not once. Not once have I seen them do any fundraising in South Africa. Where is Gift of the Givers money coming from? Has anyone ever asked this question? Where is Gift of the Givers money coming from? They have tons of money. They deploy people all over. It's not a malicious comment or attack. I'm just asking a fair question. When this organization has this much capacity to respond to this many things, where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from? 4 women have been arrested over the murder of an Eastern Cape go-go. Police have so far arrested 4 women in connection with the murder of a 75-year-old woman who was accused of witchcraft in a village near Nkopo in the Eastern Cape. Provincial police spokesperson Brigadier Nobuntu Gantana named the victim as Nokansala Siddiqui. She was taken from her home by some of her family members on Sunday. At a nearby stream, she was accused of witchcraft, assaulted with a plank, and subsequently drowned. Her body was found next to the stream with bruises to the head and face, as well as strangulation marks on the neck. The first 2 suspects, aged 26 and 28, were arrested Monday. They appear in court Tuesday and have been remanded in custody until May 25th. Police arrested 2 additional suspects, aged 28 and 35, Wednesday. They're due to appear in court on Friday. Health experts have called many times for increased understanding of declining brain health among the elderly, which can lead to slower, incoherent speech, confusion, even failing to remember how to dress properly. Extreme cases of symptoms of brain damage linked to dementia and Alzheimer's are misinterpreted as witchcraft. Commenting on an attack allegedly being linked to superstition about witchcraft, I call on the community leaders to help us uproot this dangerous mentality. If you know something, speak out. Silence makes you complicit. You can't help a backward, medieval, prehistoric culture that believes in witchcraft. You simply can't help. They murder a woman because they think she's a witch. These aren't human beings. These aren't cogent, lucid humans in the 21st century. You murder a 75-year-old defenseless woman because you think she's a witch? You can't save a country like this. It's unsalvageable. And it was their own family members. You cannot salvage anyone like this. How could anyone kill, murder in such a brutal fashion too? These are demented lunatics who have no business in society. You cannot save a country. A country is not worthy of saving when people murder witches. We did that hundreds of years ago. Unbelievable. Putco announces a 10% increase after heavy diesel prices. They're raising bus fares, the biggest bus company in South Africa. They'll implement an average 10% fuel-related fare increase from June 1st following recent fuel hikes that continue to place severe pressure on its operations and long-term sustainability. May 1st, diesel prices will reach 32 Rand. Thank you for the 40 Rand super chat, Amelia Lowe. Operation Prosper Snafu. Food shortages, 3 toilets, no hot water for troops to Cape Town base. Surprised? No, not at all. I predicted this was going to happen. South African National Defense Force Union says 146 soldiers deployed under Operation Prosper being housed in a leaking aircraft hangar. They threatened the Department of Defense with legal action over alleged deplorable, inhumane, and unsafe living conditions at Fort Ikapa military base in Cape Town. Allegations came days after Minister 15% Angie Motshekga told Parliament that the department had adopted a putting the soldier first approach. Bullshit. What a crock. What a crock. And that's where they're staying. That's what they're eating. That looks disgusting. Well, that's disgraceful, but that is the South African government under the ANC. They don't care about the military. They're just convenient tools for them in a jobs program. Well, Panyaza Lesufi is back. This idiot is on top as the ANC reshuffles the Gauteng party leadership. Proof that the ANC doesn't care about governing South Africa. They just care about political power. They restructured the Gauteng leadership, appointing Panyaza Lesufi as conveyor and Sochali Sox Kanyile as coordinator. Well, the ANC, as it melts down, continues to make dumb decisions. Fly Saf Air is referred to the tribunal over alleged ticket overselling. They seek a 10% penalty after probing overbooked flights. The National Consumer Commission says it has referred low-cost domestic airline Fly Saf Air to the National Consumer Tribunal over allegations of overbooking and overselling flight tickets. And Fly Saf Air has responded, saying that they disagree with the decision and that they will fight it. The group said it has cooperated with the investigation fully, and the issue boils down to a difference in legal interpretation of laws. We remain confident that, on a full consideration of the facts, the legal framework, and prevailing industry practice, it will be demonstrated that Fly Saf Air has acted lawfully, transparently, and in good faith, with due and careful regard to the rights of consumers. Airline said it was overbooking is expressly contemplated by Section 47, as long as recognized as lawful and globally accepted practice within the airline industry when responsibly managed. And that is a fact. Unfortunately, it's true. Airlines can overbook because people don't show up. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So these morons are taking these people to court over lawful action, wasting the court's time and the company's resources. Well, Reserve Bank has frozen $4.2 million from Dan Root's Advocacy group. Are they targeting Afrikaners, or has this group done something inappropriate? The South African Reserve Bank has ordered the forfeiture of $4.2 million from the Pro-Afrikaanse Actie group, Prague, citing alleged violations of exchange control regulations. Of course, the group is closely tied to writer and Afrikaner activist Dan Root. Found in 2000, Joburg, as pro-Afrikaner rights and language organizations. It's been closely linked with writer and activist Dan Root. Thank you for the 40 Rand. I appreciate that, Dion Seeley. The order published in the Government Gazette this week relates to 4 of the group's bank accounts. 3 of the accounts held Rand, but worth $2.2 million. The fourth account has $121,303 or 2 million rand at current exchange rates. The money will be deposited in the National Revenue Fund. We all received notification from Reserve Bank late yesterday afternoon, so we were also trying to make sense of it, Root told News 24. Root said that while the Reserve Bank alleges that they contravened exchange control regulations, each and every foreign exchange we have ever done was explicitly authorized by a bank. So let me contrast this with Pala Pala. Dan Root claims that all his transactions are processed through banks, yet they've confiscated all their money. Cyril Ramaphosa is accused of money laundering $580,000 through his Pala Pala game range. And Cyril Ramaphosa, well, thank you for that super sticker, Alan, $20, thank you. Cyril Ramaphosa has not had any of his assets seasoned. Seasoned, yeah, they haven't seasoned it. These assets taste very good. No, his assets have not been seized. Not one, not frozen. Pala Pala free pass. The irony of taking this money over what may or may not be a legitimate complaint, while we know clearly that $580,000 was hidden in a sofa at Pala Pala for 2 months before it was stolen. Yet no consequences for Munir Pala Pala. Couch and the cushions. Yep. Well, there's still anger over Robert Sobukwe, the renaming of Graaff-Reinet. Graaff-Reinet is the fourth oldest town in South Africa. It dates back to 1786. Notice the fourth oldest town. The Nguni-speaking peoples arrived in South Africa 1,600 years ago, crossing the Limpopo River, coming on in. Which towns did they build? Which cities did the Nguni-speaking peoples build? Can somebody tell me? Please put your hands up. I know Ulundi. Okay, bunch of hovels, rondevals. But which cities did they build? Did they build Cape Town? Somerset West? Hermanus? Graaff-Reinet? Port Elizabeth? Durban? Joburg? Rustenburg? Nelspruit? No. 1786, the fourth town created. Yeah, it was named after Cornelius Jacob van de Graaf, the Dutch governor of the Cape Colony under the Dutch East India Company, and his wife, Cornelia Reinet. 38,000 people have objected. That stands in stark contrast to the less than 300 people who were consulted on whether the name change should go forward. Well, Ghana has decided to delay the repatriation of 800 of its citizens over logistical arrangements after xenophobes endangered their lives. All right, I'm going to deal with this right now. Cool Beans, you're posting comments on my videos, and I don't know what you're drinking, but something's not right. You posted comments on my video about me not wanting the truth out. What the fuck are you drinking? I reported your story. I've told your story. We've talked about it. I'm one of the few people who covered it. One day you praised me for saying that, and the next day you attack me for not doing it. And they've called you. So you've got a phone call from Church World Services after the Daily Wire. Well, good. The Daily Wire is backed by rich people. Has millions of dollars. I'm one person. So you're pissed off at me because my coverage didn't get you? Didn't get you what you want? Good. I'm happy for you. Yay. Fantastic. You never got back to us. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. When did you contact me for a contact number? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Jesus Christ. I swear to God. You know, some people are hard of hearing. Some people don't listen. $6,000 WhatsApp messages. 6,000 unread. $8,000 unread messages in my Gmail account. Oh, by the way, messages I've answered. You want to see the hundreds I've answered? Enough. You know, if you're unhappy with me, then do something else with your time, okay? Don't attack me. It's not my fault I'm not a multi-billion-dollar media conglomerate that gets people's attention. That's just that. In my personal email account, which I just deleted 5,000 emails after going through them over the weekend, 5,000 emails while I was in a hotel, I'm down to 19,000 emails now. Yesterday I had 18,000. That's an additional 1,000 unread emails in my personal account today. You know, me. I give everybody fair time and fair consideration. I covered your story. I told people about it. It didn't result in change. That is not my fault. You're bumhurt because it didn't happen. And then you lie on my videos saying that I'm trying to stop people from talking. Yeah, it is ungrateful. And it's disrespectful and rude. I made a video because several people contact me because 1 year anniversary, they're being contacted by me. They don't know what to do. So I made a video, it's short, and said, you talk to who you want to talk to. I can't tell you not to talk to the media. But what I can give you is advice on how to talk to the media. How do you talk to the media? Well, background, on the record, off the record, comments. The lack of gratitude is just absolutely insane. You've been coming in here and moaning about your case for day after day after day after day, pissing off the viewers. Nobody wants to hear Debbie Downers. You're stuck. A plausible explanation for that was given by one of my viewers who said that when they had the raid on Woodmead, afterwards there was a news release, a news story, which I didn't see all of it, where they talked, I remember it being heard, that people who have current ongoing litigation cannot leave the country. There's no legal agreement that says that between the U.S. and South Africa. I've researched that. But apparently there was a gentleman's agreement. I don't have feedback from the U.S. government on my request for that. Back to the news. Switzerland opens trial linked to Mozambique. Tuna scandal. This is an old story as well. I've covered this for a couple years now. This story is not going away. Now the Swiss are preferring charges. Compliance officer accused of money laundering, arranging and transferring more than 600,000 Swiss francs of criminal origin to Abu Dhabi in 2016, frustrating efforts to locate or confiscate the funds. This is all about a tuna fleet that was never really properly delivered to Mozambique. The government, it's a couple $1 billion scandal, and it's been going on for years. Now the Swiss are involved too, also prosecuting people. China extends rare earth lead over the United States and Europe with new discovery in East Africa. Newly confirmed rare earth elements discovery in Miku village in Tanzania is adding fresh momentum to Africa's bid to become a critical supplier of strategic minerals key to the global clean energy transition. Discovery carried out by Chinese company Hongji Mining Company in partnership with the Tanzanian government and verified by local news outlets contains neodymium and praseodymium, key minerals for electric vehicles, wind turbines, and advanced electronics. Has anyone ever heard of neodymium? Do you know the periodic table? I don't know it that well. Or praseodymium? No, I didn't know that one. It sounds like a erectile dysfunction drug. Praseodymium. Congo's Ebola responders decry lack of medicine, masks, and motorbikes. First responders fighting DRC, 17th Ebola outbreak, say even basic supplies are scarce, from pain medicine to motorbikes for contact tracing and face masks. Yeah, well, there you go. This is because they're in a broken country of the DRC. Broken country, ladies and gentlemen. How bushmeat plays a role in the spread of Ebola and burial rites. That's what happened in West Africa. Burial rites did it. Ebola is an often fatal virus that causes severe symptoms, including high fever and internal and external bleeding. It's transmitted to humans through close contact with the blood or fluids of infected forest animals such as fruit bats, porcupines, and non-human primates like monkeys, according to the World Health Organization. Except they've never proven that. The World Health Organization has never determined the reservoir for this. Hamarus! Thank you for 140 Rand, my friend. If you're ungrateful for what Chris is doing, please bear in mind that because he's giving so much that even we as his friends struggle to communicate with him because all the WhatsApp and emails, but we do not moan. Yeah, No, my longtime friends from South Africa have a hard time reaching me because of all the contacts. Yep. So yeah, the World Health Organization we've never determined the actual reservoir of Ebola that they're saying confidently they know where it comes from. They suspect that. That's the truth. Sierra Leone has welcomed the first group of West Africans deported there who are also part of ECOWAS. Foreign Minister Timothy Kaba told Reuters last week that Freetown had agreed to take in 300 West African migrants. They're not migrants, they're criminal alien invaders annually who are being deported to the U.S. with no more than 25 arriving each month. Thank you, Sierra Leone, for taking these ECOWAS members back so they can flood back to their own countries instead of illegally invading our country. African exporters regain duty access, according to Trump's extension of the AGOA framework. And it includes South Africa, who keeps claiming that they're being oppressed. A proclamation issued by President Trump implements provisions of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2026, which renewed AGOA and extended its trade preferences through December 31st. The program briefly lapsed the end of September after Congress failed to renew it, creating uncertainty for African exporters. Restored in February when President Trump signed the Consolidated Appropriations Act, extending it. The recent presidential proclamation then formally implemented the extension, updating U.S. tariff schedules. So it's already in place. This is just a formality. But here is the proclamation, and it is all about AGOA. Yep. So it talks about AGOA in the Trade Act, and it's actually called to implement certain provisions in Consolidated Appropriations Act 2026 and for other purposes. But the purpose of this proclamation was for the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Saudi Arabia is launching a new cargo shipping service linking Africa and the Middle East, avoiding the Strait of Hormuz for non-oil cargo. Saudi Arabia Ports Authority, Mawani, has unveiled a major new cargo shipping service that could reshape trade corridors connecting the Middle East to Africa and Europe. Interesting. We shall see what happens. Although the Strait of Hormuz is shut down, the Saudis are pressing forward with this. King Fahd Industrial Port in Yanbu, one of the largest Red Sea facilities with an annual handling capacity of 200 million tons, according to port authorities and industries reports, serves as the main Saudi terminal for the Red Sea Express. So this is using the Red Sea side of Saudi Arabia. Thailand has restricted how long tourists, including Americans, can stay there. They had loosened entry requirements after the pandemic to attract visitors, but now they'll limit many travelers to 30 days. 30 days. Thailand plans to have the length of visa stays for tourists from dozens of countries, including the United States. Visitors from 54 countries now be able to stay in Thailand for just 30 days without a visa instead of 60. Visitors from more than 90 nations had enjoyed longer visa-free stays since 2024 when the country loosened requirements in an effort to attract more tourists after the scamdemic. About 33 million foreign tourists visited Thailand in 2025, down from 40 million in 2019. The new policy affects citizens from the United States, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, Singapore, and other countries. There's no explanation as to why Thailand is restricting travel. Xenophobes, racists, they're like Trump. They're blocking people from coming. Wait, but nobody's complaining about that. Nobody's complaining about Thailand shutting down. Hey, thank you, Bonnie. We still love you. Thank you for your relentless efforts to support us. Archaeologists have uncovered a disturbing find from a giant stone jar. In the middle of Laos, an ancient mystery bulges from the sweeping plains and intermittent forest of the Zhangkong Plateau. There, numbering in thousands, vast stone jars, many empty and open to the sky, punctuate the landscape, their original purpose lost in the fog of time. For many years, science has debated the use, often unable to get close to the jars due to the 80 million undetonated cluster bombs that still lie scattered across the plain, dropped by the United States during the 1960s Laotian Civil War. Now the excavation of a single giant jar has given us an answer. Inside, archaeologists found a densely packed jumble of human bones from 37 individuals. They were not all placed in at the same time. The remains suggest the jar was used multiple times over a 270-year period between 890 and 1160. A number of individuals also suggest the jars were owned by family or extended family groups. They likely serve as places where ancestral rites were performed over generations. Although many theories about the jar's functions have been floated, including that they were used for food storage, the piecemeal evidence retrieved to date indicates the jars were used for funerary purposes. So, we are disturbing the dead. Protests are planned at a new consulate after Trump's envoy arrives in Greenland. Hundreds of people expected protests to open a U.S. consulate in Nuuk after comments by the U.S. Special Envoy that Greenland was put back on the map by Trump. U.S. Special Envoy Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, arrived in Nuuk uninvited with a delegation including a doctor who caused fury by saying he was there to assess the medical needs of Greenland. Landry briefly attended a business conference with the U.S. ambassador in Denmark, Kenneth Lowry, and left the next night. During his visit, he told the French press agency he thought it was time the U.S. to put its footprint back on Greenland. Greenland needs the U.S. I think that you're seeing the president talk about increasing national security operations, repopulating certain bases in Greenland. The U.S. had already had a consulate in Nuuk in a modest traditional-style building, but the move to new premises, the modern high-rise, is symbolic of its growing presence. Aquagluk Fontaine, a 37 account manager in IT, who has organized the protest because of strength of feeling against the U.S. president, said, "It's very important now more than ever to show the American people that we already said that by no means that the future and self-determined Greenland belongs to Greenland people." Yeah, except that you're hiding under the skirts of your Danish colonizers. So when are you going to break free from them? Germany's Friedrich Merz is pitching associate membership for the Ukraine, showing you that, once again, this is a new world order clown. This corrupt kleptocracy of Ukraine, where millions are being killed because of this moron and Putin, and they want to bring them into the European Union. Not going to happen. Well, as floods get worse in the United Kingdom, they tried a new solution. Beavers. Beavers in the UK. Until 2 years ago, West London's Greenford Tube Station used to flood whenever it rained heavily. The train tracks were above ground, but the ticket office often get inundated. Sandbags still line the corridor. But in October 2023, a new family moved in nearby, determined to halt the water. The family members built their house from scratch with local wood and kept odd hours, sleeping all day and working only at dawn at dusk. They even put their young children to work. The new neighbors were beavers. Of course, this introduction of a species that was wiped out by humans 400 years ago has its own problems. While they may be helping in London, they are terrorizing farmland in other parts of the United Kingdom. The repopulating of the United Kingdom with Norwegian beavers is causing problems while solving other issues. Once again, humans think that they can control the world. Here's a beaver busy working at night. Another beaver being released into its new home in Cornwall. And here, the beaver's building a dam. Why do these pictures have so few white English people in them? Of course, it's causing major problems for farmers. Yep. Government reportedly mulls change to retirement age in Germany. They want to raise the retirement age by 2060 to 70 years of age. Wow. 2 men charged with espionage, attempted murder as suspected Iranian agents. German federal prosecutors announced that they had charged Ali S., a Danish citizen, a Danish national, with espionage and attempted conspiracy to murder, as well as Tawab M., an Afghan national, with attempted conspiracy to murder. Ali S. was also charged with arson. The pair, whose last names are withheld in accordance with German privacy regulations, are accused of planning to attack Jewish institutions and targets on behalf of Iran. One of their alleged targets was Josef Schuster, president of Germany's Central Council of Jews, as well as the leader of Germany's Israeli community, Volker Beck. Wow. Beck criticized comments from politicians, including Foreign Minister Johann Wadepool, that Germany should not always accept information from foreign intelligence service. So Johann Wadepool said that Germany shouldn't accept intelligence from foreign intelligence services, even though it saved Volker Beck's life. Without them, I'd be dead, Beck said. Apparently, the intelligence support purportedly came from Israeli intelligence, and so the anti-Semitic Jew-hating Nazis now in charge of Germany don't want to take intelligence from Israeli intelligence services, even though it saved German lives. Wow. Unbelievable. These people hate people so much. European Union migrant repatriations on the rise. Most countries are carrying out, but who's carrying them out? Numbers are going down for both immigrants and asylum seekers, while repatriation orders are increasing, with Germany, France, and Sweden at the top of the list. Since 2022, the number of new migrants entering the EU has decreased from 5 million to 4.5 million. Well, that's about 4.5 million too many. In 2025, the number of asylum seekers granted protection shrank reaching 361, the lowest since 2019. That's 361,000 too many. Turkish migrants, the most repatriated group in 2025, with more than 13,000. This is a drop in the bucket. That's all they sent back. Germany's only sent 36,000 these illegal aliens home. France, 18,000. Sweden, 13,000. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. That is an absolute joke. Well, the Germans, well, once again, I don't know if I'll be able to root for the German team, which I normally do, but we'll see how many Germans are on their team. They've announced their FIFA World Cup team, and they're desperate. They brought back Manuel Neuer, a decrepit 40-year-old goalie, to be their first choice goalkeeper. Bayern Munich goalkeeper Manuel Neuer has come out of international retirement to be named to Germany's squad for the 2026 World Cup, with manager Julian Nagelsmann saying the 40-year-old will be the team's number one for the tournament. Well, that's controversial. So here are the German team: Oliver Baumann, who should have been the guy, Manuel Neuer, and Alexander Nübel. The defenders are Waldemar Anton, Nathaniel Brown, Joshua Kimmich, David Raum, Antonio Rudiger, Nico Schlottenbeck, Jonathan Tah, and Malik Taya. They're not German. Nadim Amiri is a midfielder, not German. Leon Goretzka, Pascal Gross, Jamie Lewing, Jamal Musiala, not German. Felix Meka, not German. Alexander Pavlovich, not German. Angelo Stiller, and Florian Wirtz. The forwards are Maximilian Breyer, Kai Havertz, Leonard Karl, Leroy Sané, not German. Denis Undav, not German. And Nick Voltemade. A whole bunch of non-Germans, and one of the most controversial picks was Leroy Sané, who plays in the Turkish league and who really sucks. He's not that good. And it's just their effort to be multiracial. They brought him on the team. The German soccer team hopefully will win, but we'll see. The United States is offering a new relationship with Cuba. Marco Rubio says, we're happy to help the Cubans, but we will give the $100 million in food and medicine to the Cuban people, not the Cuban government, and be distributed by the Catholic Church. United States military surveillance blimp on loan to the Customs Border Patrol is lost at the southern border when its tether snapped, and the wreckage was found in Mexico. Bummer. U.S. has charged former Cuban leader Raul Castro with the murder in 1996 and the killing of Americans. He's charged with murder of 3 U.S. citizens and 1 green card holder in 1996 Brothers to the Rescue incident. The 93-year-old nonagenarian is criminally charged. Cuba says it's ready to negotiate now. The ambassador to the United Nations said in an interview that Havana wanted to talk, but the Trump administration was creating pretexts for military action. Okay, Ernesto, do you want to talk or do you want to talk nonsense? We're happy to talk. U.S. crude oil falls below $100 per barrel after Trump says Iran talks are in the final stages. President Trump told reporters yesterday the administration is in the final stage of negotiations with Iran. He's repeatedly made optimistic statements about reaching a deal with Iran and a quick end to the war, only for tensions to escalate again. But crude prices dropped back below $100. Once again, the price of oil was $79 when the conflict began. Now it's $98. So that means it's gone up by $18. That's not even 20%. Ridiculous. What's going on over here? President Trump says he will speak to Taiwan's president in a break from protocol. Wow, that's exciting, unless he's going to give him an ultimatum. President Trump says he'll talk to Taiwanese leader Lai Chang-te about a possible arms sale. It will be a sharp departure from diplomatic tradition. U.S. and Taiwanese leaders have not spoken directly since 1979, when Jimmy Carter betrayed China. 1979. That'd be awesome to see. I look forward to Trump talking to the Taiwanese. That'd be incredible. The Chinese are probably going bat crap crazy hearing that news. I love it. The 2 teenagers who attacked the Islamic Center in San Diego were the latest to cite prior atrocities. In rambling writings full of vitriol against a wide range of people, the teenagers who attacked the Islamic Center in San Diego this week, killing 3 men in themselves, left little doubt about the models for their violence. They referred to the Christchurch slaughter of 51 in 2019. They left behind a 74-page document. The writings include hateful rhetoric towards Jewish people, Muslims, and Islam, as well as the LGBT plus community, black people, women, and the political left and right. They indicated they were trying to accelerate the collapse of society. In this section, Vasquez wrote of having some mental health issues and being rejected by women. So why is the media calling them right-wing Nazis when they attacked the right wing? Notice that? They attack Jews, Muslims, Islam, LGBTQ plus community, blacks, women, the political left, and the political right. They're anarchists. They're not right-wingers. They're anarchists. You see the fake news? They can't even admit the truth. Can't even admit the truth. They're anarchists. Anarchists. Unbelievable. Yet they're calling them right-wingers and Nazis. They're anarchists. The officers who defended the Capitol from rioters sued to block payouts from the fund. Well, look at here once again. See the police officers wearing bicycle helmets? That was the first line of defense. No weapons, bicycle helmets. They're wearing bicycle helmets. There's the proof. I told you on January 6th, this is what was going on. This is a setup. The entire thing is a setup. And these fools fell for it. You see the cops who have the riot gear? They came down later. They came down later. But these people with the shiny yellow vest, the Capitol Police, are wearing bicycle helmets. These cops who failed to protect the building. Two police officers who failed to defend the Capitol building sued on Wednesday to block anyone, including January 6 rioters, from receiving payouts from $1.76 billion settlement for people who claim to be victims of politically motivated prosecutions. Well, it's not just for prosecutions, it's also for persecution. And I'm going to look into this case, and I'm going to consider filing for a payout from it because of what YouTube did to me based on what the direction was from the White House to censor me. So I'm going to consider applying for some of that money. Yep. If it's only for people who went in the building, then I'm not eligible, or who were prosecuted. But I was persecuted, so we'll see. All right, I'm going to say this right now. Moderators, just take any comment that's about refugees. If people can't be respectful, just take them out. That's been like the 9th warning about refugee comments. Just remove the comments. You don't have to give people time out. Just remove their comments, okay? Just remove their comments. They're disrespectful, rude, and inconsiderate, and their comments get deleted. Done, done. Done and dusted, finished and clear. Just remove the comments, moderators. Don't give them a time out. Just remove every comment that's refugee related. If you can't be respectful, if it's me, then you need to go stand in the corner. Stand in the corner. Trump's face doesn't belong on passports, senators tell Marco Rubio. In a letter shared with CNBC, a group of Democratic senators called Secretary Rubio to halt the plan to put President Trump's face on U.S. passports. Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's perhaps a bit inappropriate too. But because the Democrats don't want it, now I'm actually in favor of it. Actually in favor of it now. The group led by Jeff Merkley of Oregon, in a letter shared with CNBC, called for Rubio to halt plans to issue a limited number of passports. U.S. passports never should now feature images of sitting U.S. president. We ask you halt these plans given anti-democratic impact this decision will have. Well, first off, having his picture on there is not anti-democratic. That's just moronic. So there's a problem. I opposed it because just like I opposed Mandela's face on currency in South Africa while he was alive, I think that's inappropriate. And it is correct. We don't normally put sitting presidents on there. I agree. However, since Chris Van Hollen, Demon Rat of Maryland, Jackie Rosen, Demon Rat of Nevada, Tim Kaine, Demon Rat of Virginia, and Angus King, Demon Rat, pretend independent from Maine, are the ones behind it, I'm now in favor of Trump being on the passport. I'm in favor of it now. I'm in favor of it now. Intelligence official Amaryllis Fox Kennedy, a Tulsi Gabbard ally, has left 2 jobs. This woman had 3 jobs, and she's a nepotism hire. Is she not? The daughter-in-law of RFK Jr. held posts at the Office of Director of National Intelligence and the Office of Budget Management, OMB, Management Budget. She apparently had 3 jobs, and so now she's a former CIA undercover officer. Simultaneously, she held 3 intelligence posts: Deputy to Gabbard in the Office of Director of National Intelligence, Associate Director, Office of Management Budget, overseeing classified intelligence budgets. That's a conflict of interest right there, and a member of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board. There are clear conflicts here. She shouldn't have any of those jobs. Shouldn't have any of those jobs. He can't be the deputy in the ONI's office and then be an associate director for OMB that oversees the budget for ODNI. A clear conflict. This is stupid. This woman needs to be out. Long overdue, say some of the people that want to get into that fund. January 6th rioters and election deniers celebrate Trump's $1.8 billion compensation fund. Marshall Cohen, Holmes LeBrand, and Donny O'Sullivan. Ah, look at that. Donny O'Sullivan, our little Irish leprechaun who lied and didn't include me in his documentary. Making all kinds of lies up here once again. Here you go. MyPillow CEO Michael Lindell told CNN he believes his company lost $400 million due to what he views as government weaponization in the aftermath of the 2020 election. Yeah. One American News is also interested in going after the money. Anybody can apply, Todd Blanche told lawmakers during a budget hearing. Fund is open to a much broader swath of Trump allies far beyond the 2020 election. Potential recipients can include people who were scrutinized during special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation and Trump administration officials entangled Trump-Ukraine. The first known potential claimant. So here we go with the lies. The largest group of potential victims were the nearly 1,600 people charged in connection with the January 6th insurrection. What else we got here? Here we go. The 2020 fake electors. The pro-Trump fake electors from 2020 also stand to benefit from the fund, especially because most of them were entangled in legal cases. But here's the problem. There were no fake electors. See, these are lies. These are lies by a propaganda outlet. Donny O'Sullivan, the little Irish leprechaun, is responsible for these lies. He's one of the authors in the story. That fake electors is a fake story. There are no fake electors. Both parties vote for electors. Everyone votes in their state for the electors. You choose the electors. Well, at least in Pennsylvania you do. You choose. The party comes up with the electors before the election. In 1960, after Hawaii became a state, its first time it participated in elections, the Republican candidate Richard Nixon was declared the winner by Hawaii. The Democrats took their electors and sent them to Washington, D.C., as did the Republicans. Now remember, 1960, no satellite communication, no social media. Both sent their teams of electors there. Hawaii reviewed the results because it was within the margin of error, and then they overturned the election result while the electors from the Republican and Democratic Party were in Washington, D.C., and gave Hawaii to John Kennedy. The Republicans weren't fake electors. The Democrats weren't fake electors. That's what parties do. This is a fake news story still being propagated by this fake news media outlet, the criminal news network, CNN. And little leprechaun Donny O'Sullivan is part of it. Shame on them for lying. Well, what do you know about the Trump fake electors? This is from Marshall Cohen, one of those three commentators on the last story. This is from January 2022, when he tries to tell a fairy tale story, calling it an attempted coup. This group of electors meets in the State House at a designated date. They sign certificates, officially casting their vote for the president. This is a ceremonial process, and the outcome is essentially a foregone conclusion. In very rare cases, an elector goes faithless by voting for someone other than the candidate who won the popular vote. Trump allies tried to supplant President Biden's authentic electors with fake Republican electors in several key states. No. They sent their electors. It's as simple as that. They didn't go to D.C. This is all a fake scandal, and it destroyed people's lives by the media and the likes of Marshall Cohen and Donny O'Sullivan propagating fake news, which people were too stupid to know the Constitution, understand how the law works here. Well, 6:30 tonight, I might be alive again because the most powerful rocket ever built is now bigger and more powerful. But is it going to work? SpaceX's Starship spacecraft sits atop the Super Heavy booster at Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas. Gateway to Mars. After a 7-month hiatus, SpaceX is set to launch a new, more powerful version of its Starship mega rocket, reignite a make-or-break testing campaign aimed at hashing out unprecedented rocketry challenges and getting the vehicle ready to carry NASA astronauts to the moon. Yeah, but is it going to work? Now, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin is competing with this, but we haven't heard much from them. Liftoff is slated for today at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, they've had an explosive record. We watched the Kaboom experiences here. That's a 2024 return with a heavy booster landing at Boca Chica. So, let's see what happens. Will we have a Kaboom today? Because it's a new one. That will be interesting to see. Massachusetts is accused of racial segregating schools. A lawsuit filed on behalf of 9 children argues that boundary lines trap many low-income students of color in low-performing public school districts. A lawsuit filed by Wednesday challenges alleged school segregation in Massachusetts, arguing that boundary lines are trapping many students of color in low-performing school districts and denying them the right to adequate education guaranteed by the state constitution. The suit filed in Suffolk County Superior Court in Boston challenges policies that bar students from attending public schools outside their home districts in most cases. Students should not be allowed to attend schools outside their home district. I'm not paying for someone's little bastards to go to school here. I'm being fleeced out of property taxes for something I own. My home belongs to me, not to the state. Yet I pay for a school for kids from my community, not for people to be bussed in here from elsewhere that I have to pay for. That is not equal protection under the Constitution. If you're going to bus kids in somewhere else, then don't take my property taxes. You can bus kids in if you want, but don't take my property taxes. I'm not subsidizing failures of other communities. I am not subsidizing failures of other communities. You want to desegregate, you want to integrate, then you pay for it, but not with my property taxes. Not going to happen. Well, retail investors will get an unusual opportunity, so I'm going to check into this. Those who have a Robinhood, a Fidelity, or Charles Schwab account can actually get in on the initial public offering of SpaceX. Wow, this is a little different than the traditional way of doing this. Mark Sten, if you have someone arrive last week, they should. Oh, you're not listening. Yeah, thank you for my moderator for taking that out. I told people this is not a ref to you. People still being disrespectful, interrupting the news broadcast. Thank you for my moderator. I lost track where I was at there. Elon Musk, SpaceX said a portion of shares in this blockbuster public offering will be sold directly through trading platforms like Robinhood, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab. There you go. That's exciting stuff. JetBlue is canceling routes. They were talking about picking up Spirit routes. Well, they are. But they're going all in on Fort Lauderdale, and they're canceling key routes for others because JetBlue is losing money. JetBlue is doubling down on Florida in the wake of Spirit's collapse, a boon for Sunshine State travelers. Bad news for many customers elsewhere in its network. They are dropping routes. 11 AX routes, including Manchester, New Hampshire to Orlando, Manchester, Fort Myers, Manchester, Fort Lauderdale, Manchester screwed, Hartford to Tampa, Newark to Aruba, Newark to Cancun, Newark to Punta Cana, Newark to Santo Domingo, Newark to Tampa, Newark is screwed, Orlando to San Jose, Costa Rica, and Providence to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Yeah, unfortunately, JetBlue is losing money. $9 billion in revenue last year, $600 million in losses. The founder, David Neeleman, is no longer part of the company. He's now the CEO of competing carrier Breeze. He said JetBlue could file bankruptcy as debts exacerbated oil becomes unsustainable. Well, let's not hope not, because JetBlue has been a very good performer stock-wise. Interest to full disclosure, I have a small number of JetBlue shares. Leftist Seattle mayor and noted dingbat doorknob, Katie Wilson, regrets publicly making her moronic statements about Starbucks. Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson is dialing back early criticism of Starbucks as concerns grow over the city's political climate and corporate investment outlook. This dingbat doorknob has consigned her city to a dismal future. She urged consumers to boycott Starbucks. A Democratic moron, socialist elected last year on progressive labor-backed platform, told Seattle Times that comments she made during a Starbucks worker strike last fall were not productive. You think, you moron? Look at that high forehead. Where does her hair start? She looks like an AI-generated image. These comments were not productive in the sense they caused more harm than good. You think, you dumbass? I'm not buying Starbucks, and you should not either, she said at a rally. At the time, several unionized Starbucks workers in Seattle and other cities were striking amid stalled contract talks. Her comments resurfaced in recent weeks as concerns mount among business leaders and local officials about Seattle's economic climate. The concerns intensified after Starbucks announced plans to move to a 2,000-employee corporate hub in Nashville, Tennessee. Starbucks was founded in Seattle in 1971, and this moronic democratic socialist is costing the city its most iconic brand after Boeing. Yep. This dumbass, stupid dingbat doorknob, Katie Wilson. There's a little thing. With time, though, it has a shot at becoming a big deal. A little thing the other day, a politician made to make a mistake. That basically never happens. We've become accustomed to politics being dominated by abject narcissism. Satellites were probably aware she's been in the media hot seat due to comments she made about the rich and big business. She called Seattle filthy rich, waved goodbye to disgruntled millionaires, called for a boycott of Starbucks, as closely followed by the company coincidentally not moving 2,000 jobs to Tennessee. The Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the New York Times have all now weighed in on what they called gaffes, but which I meant she was, anyway, she's an idiot. And she's consigned Seattle to lose lots of high-paying jobs and lots of revenue. Stupid people should wear signs. Seattle is Microsoft, Boeing, and Starbucks. And maybe Weyerhaeuser, but she's too stupid to know it. And a prison 4-star admiral, this case is getting some attention. This admiral was not bribed by business executives, according to a jury. The recent verdict was intertwined with the case of retired Admiral Robert Burke, who is in prison serving a 6-year prison sentence. Federal jury on Monday in D.C. acquitted Next Jump, that's a company, CEO Jongjil Charlie, Kim, and Megan Messenger, with court records showing that each found not guilty of committing conspiracy or bribery. The verdict comes after the pair were on trial last year, which ended with a hung jury and a mistrial. They were initially charged in relation to purportedly bribing retired 4-star Navy Admiral Robert Burke for a military contract in exchange for a lucrative post-retirement job. At the time of the allegations, once the second highest uniformed Navy officer was commanding U.S. forces in Africa and Europe as well as Russia. In May of 2025, Burke, 63 of Coconut Creek, Florida, was found guilty of bribery directly in relation to what Kim and Mester were acquitted of Monday. A jury found Burke guilty of conspiracy to commit bribery, performing acts affecting personal financial interest, and concealing material facts for the United States following a 5-day trial. He was sentenced in September to 6 years in prison. But the people who were accused of bribing him have been found not guilty. They've been acquitted. They claim that he was offered a $500,000 a year job and 100,000 stock options, and he is in prison, 6 years in prison. Well, he's been sentenced to prison. The Justice Department went after him hard because he was retired from the military, so they went after him as a civilian. They could have gone after him UCMJ. Yep. They said he concealed to conceal the scheme. Burke made several false and misleading statements to Navy, including falsely implying the company has employment discussions. Burke only began months after the contract was awarded and admitted the truth in his required forms. But the problem with that, he was found guilty of that, but they just found out the people he was accused of talking to months before they didn't talk to him. So what happens to this conviction now? Is it overturned? Well, the Indiana Fever Arena wound up being half empty after Caitlin Clark was scrapped. Once again, the racist, racist, misogynist, anti-Christian, anti-heterosexual WNBA doesn't realize what they've got in Caitlin Clark. Without her, the league is nothing. Gamebridge Fieldhouse appeared half empty after Clark was scratched about 100 minutes before tip-off. Caitlin Clark was scratched from lineup less than 2 hours before tip-off. That's the only explanation I can think of why when I see this now viral video of Gamebridge Fieldhouse looking half empty. Yep. Those who weren't glued to the screen, those who weren't glued to WNBA News Wednesday, and that's all of you, Clark was previously scratched about 100 minutes before the Indiana game with Portland. Yep, and then the stadium was empty. Trump's new phone is being heavily criticized. The Trump phone is exactly the bad deal you expected. We called it hard to recommend 2 years ago, says John Mundy of Tech Advisor. It's been widely reported that far from being made in USA, it was as originally planned. The Trump phone T1 is basically heavily modeled on the HTC U24 Pro, a phone that was designed and manufactured in Taiwan. It will be assembled in the U.S., however. Well, the flag decal, which was done by AI, is wrong. It doesn't have the right number of stripes. There are people criticizing that. But the phone is outdated. The phone that forms the basis for the Trump phone arrived in the market 2 years ago. Even considering the fact the Trump phone is arriving 9 months later than expected, this dates the phone quite badly. And it wasn't a stellar performer. It only got 2.5 out of 5 stars when it was an HTC product. Yep. So, anyway, it's getting roundly criticized. Starbucks using supposedly recyclable plastic cups, which explains why my Starbucks cups are always falling apart. The coffee giant recently touted its cold beverage cups as widely recyclable, but people follow the cups around. I don't know how they did that. Did they dig through bins? Starbucks recently touted their cold beverage cups as widely recyclable, but new findings from the Advocacy group indicate none of the ones they tracked ended up in a recycling facility. 16%, well, 30% wound up in a landfill. I don't know what the 16 is here. It must be the number they looked at. 30% wound up in a landfill. So here's what they did in Los Angeles. They tracked all of these Starbucks, purchased these locations, and they wound up in a landfill. 17% wound up in incinerator. But the thing is about those cups is they're terrible. They're flimsy. The lids never stay on, and they've ruined them. They used to be much better. So if you're wondering about how many people we have on the planet, how much stuff we use too much. Take a look at this explosive growth in the use of minerals. Critical minerals. This is insane. Critical minerals. Check this out. Chart it. Explosive growth of critical minerals. Global mine production for key minerals. Bauxite, which is the basis for aluminum. In 1960, it was roughly around 20 million tons. Today, it's 450 million tons we're extracting every year. Chromium. 1960, it was about 1.5 metric tons. Now it's over 12 metric tons. Cobalt. 1960, approximately 20,000 tons. Today, 290,000 tons. Copper, less than 5 million tons, now 23 million. Graphite, 700,000, 0.7 million tons, 1.6. Lithium, virtually not even mined in 1960, now at 240,000 tons. Nickel, rare earths, silver. This is insane. Explosive growth in mineral extraction from the planet. We need asteroids. We need to catch near-Earth asteroids, tether them, and mine them. We need to do that because we are going to eventually run out of these elements. These elements are concrete. There's a limit. It's unlike oil, which is produced by the Earth's internal machinations. These minerals aren't being created by the planet. They were created in supernovas, and they're not here anymore. So you got what you got, and then we run out. And that's the news for today, folks. Took a long time to get through it. The news for today. All right, now if you want to ask Ref a few questions, you can ask Ref a few questions, okay? We are over-consuming, Heidi. Anyone has a Ref a few question, feel free to ask it now. No, Abraham, most of that growth is not data centers. That growth didn't occur. It's occurred over 5 decades. Data centers are a recent development, only in the last couple of years. Why am I talking about Recofi? What's that? All right, so any questions now? I can answer questions about refugee stuff now. We got through the news. It took so long because of those interruptions, plus I had a lot of news. Yes, if they have a problem with their schools, they should fix their schools instead of destroying other people's schools. Exactly right, Trevor. Exactly right. Yes, we've talked, Amanda, about ESCOM charging people for solar panels, even though they're not their solar panels. Imitas Suma is also mentioned in the list from after former President Trump as he funds Hamas openly. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, they also were spent on getting people off that plane, illegal aliens invading South Africa. Yep. Rita Russo, they have access to planes, boats, transfer all the world. Looks like a duck. Yeah, gotcha, Rita. Thank you for that. Cecilia, Colonel Chris is a lifeline, not because of what he can do for me, but because he's a voice of reason. Hey, Cecilia, how you doing? Thank you. Rita says, late, just got chills when you asked a question about where gift givers. Yeah, thank you for that, Rita. Okay. Hendo I thought I saw Hendo earlier. Have they run out of age-appropriate Germans? Yeah, for the soccer team, apparently they have. Hey, Mara. Yeah, what people don't understand is I'm not part of the refugee program. Nope, never have been. I'm going on my way to help people who's been enlightening them about important things and highlighting, and also helping people, getting food to people, getting temporary accommodation for people, solving people's problems on this side. Yep. Yeah, the beavers are busy. Yes, busy beavers. Delia says, we love and appreciate Chris. Well, thank you, Delia. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Delia says, for clarity, we're emotional. It's not about depressing people. It's about finding answers to lane questions. Look, Delia, I appreciate that, but the answers to those questions aren't going to come in the chat. They're going to come from Church World Services, RSC subsidiary, or USCIS. Chaos Juggler, apologize for all the crap stirs and keyboard words. Thank you so much, Chaos Juggler, for the 350 Rand. Thank you for that. You're welcome, Johan. I'll see you tomorrow. You're taking off already. How do we know when we are being ignored? I joined my son. I don't understand what your question means, Bitterender. What do you mean, how do you know when you're being ignored? So are you stating that you went for a USCIS interview in February? And I take it based on your statement that you haven't heard from them since then, not a peep. Is that what you're saying? I need more information in order to try to answer your question. Play a song, says Sharon. Okay, well, let's play a song. Let's play a song. Open up a new window because I want that for a video I'm going to make here shortly. We have a refugee interview on Sunday, by the way, and I'm going to try to schedule some others, but people have been offering, just been unable to get to that, so I'm working on it. Dobber in the Pothole, that's one of my favorites.
Dobber in die potholes.
Okay, bidders, send me an email with your case number and relevant information. Okay, Chris, we're working on it. Suno, Vernon. But I write the lyrics. Hold on. A lot of fake news out there. Just want to ask you. Thank you for your membership. Yassine. Thoughts on Spencer Pratt? Interesting. I'd rather have him than Karen Bass as the mayor of LA. A lot of fake news out there. Just want to ask you, Uncle Chris, did they cancel the calls from now from Kenya? Or are they still calling? They're still calling as far as I know, Tish.
Kameras flits oral, sy het gewyn het soos 'n koningin. Rugslag in die pad gedoen, asof dit 'n oortoneel is. Die deur is heeltemal gekraak en verkrummel, die baanlyne het verdwyn.
What happens if USCIS interview is compromised, like when local South Africans overhear it due to consulate not being able to provide secure... Okay, how can local South Africans overhear it? I don't understand that. What local South Africans? What are you talking about? J.P. Swain, I'm unfamiliar with the single case that you're talking about. You're going to have to explain that a little bit better. Local South Africans overhear it. How? We don't do interviews on the sidewalk. Is the lawsuit with church must have a conflict of interest, simple breach of faith and trust? It's a conflict of interest, Henry Holtz. It's a clear conflict of interest. They're suing the people whom they're getting money from to provide a service, and their motivation for doing it is because they're not getting as much money as they used to. The judge should engender that or enjoin them, from not being in the case, or they should drop their contract. One of the two. Hydrus, thank you.
Jy het 'n bergreddingsspan nodig wat net 'n rat oorskakel. Daar is taksies wat sinkheid ontwyk soos 'n slalom afdraande wedren. En elke reënerige middag word 'n waterpark skande. Straatligte flikker, robotte dood, duisternis dans oor hoofse. Oor die krag op wekkers gons, nog 'n kragonderbreking het uiteindelik gekom. Ons dobber in die slaggatte plons deur die pyn, probeer om nie en nog 'n somerreën te hut planeer nie. Dobber in die slaggatte lag net om te hanteer, sing deur die chaos terwyl ons aan 'n tou hang. Kan enigiemand die roep hoor, voordat die hele ding begin ineenstort. Die treine ry nie volgens skedule nie, want die kabels is almal gekraak.
Lindy Jordan gave a $9 New Zealand super chat. Thank you. I need to apologize to AI people here and think everything is about them. People are emotional, Lindy. People are frustrated, but it is inconsiderate to have those conversations while I'm doing the news. So hopefully people can respect that in future. Thank you for the super chat. Didn't quite get that. Suno, that's correct, Vernon. I write the lyrics in English and or Afrikaans, and then I put it through. Used to do Gemini, but Gemini's become too woke. Thank you for 35 Rand, Sharon. Became too woke, so I don't use Gemini much anymore for the lyrics to clean up my lyrics and expand on them. I use ChatGPT, and I plug that in. I pick the genre, I pick the music type, description, and I use Suno. Suno's getting better and better. Delia says, Beans didn't mean anything by Chris. He just wants his family safe, and we sent many emails to many people and nothing. All right, no, Delia, I understand. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. And Bitter Enders just gave 20 Rand. Thank you, Delia. Just tell Cool Beans to chill out, okay? All right, tell him to chill out. It's not helping, and it's really pissing people off. And I didn't ignore anything. I would never have ignored it. If I'd had the opportunity to interview you guys, then I would have done it at that time. I don't recall what happened. That was a couple years ago. I just know that I covered the story, and I covered it objectively. And I've talked about your case here, and, I've also sent messages to the U.S. government about your case. And then for him to write those things it's really a personal attack. It's not necessary. I'll accept you to do anything by it, but just chill, guys. Look, I appreciate where you're coming from. You're terrified. I get it. Dante van Wyk is terrified as well. Other people are terrified. I appreciate that. But being angry at me or, insulting me or attacking me isn't going to solve the problem. All it's going to do is piss me off. And I don't want to block people from the channel. So thank you. Vanessa sent me an email. Okay, thank you.
Hospitaalplafonne lek terwyl die waglyne dik word. Elektrisiteit is 'n gerug wat 'n uur per dag verskyn, dan verdwyn soos touwerkrag wanneer die rekeninge betaal moet word. Intussen
glimlach net en maak al kele skoon. 32 lang jare verby, vra die mense steeds hoekom. Vryheid moet nie verval beteken nie, of skraap net om elke dag te leef. MK sê emancipasie, mense roep red dan die nasie. Vryheid van die eindelose gierigheid, vryheid beteken die mense lei. Ons dobber in die slaggate, maar ons het nog nie verdrink nie. Het steeds ritme, het steeds vuur, het steeds onbetaalde skuld. Dobber in die slaggate, sim hard en duidelik. Miskien as ons genoeg skree, gaan iemand hoor. Johannesburg verander, swembadens en strate, dans op ineenstortende ritmes. Ons gaan steeds op een of ander manier voort. Suid-Afrika, ons het jou nou nodig. Plats, plas, stamp, stamp, nog 'n bom wat loskom, maar die musiek bly aanrol.
So the comment here asking for people still inside, they overstayed 18 years ago in USA and worked illegally. Will they be disqualified as refugees? Well, it's not going to be an easy path for them. I mean, they betrayed our trust. It doesn't mean they won't get it. I'm just saying that those are not ideal candidates. People who can't follow the rules are not ideal candidates, particularly for in-country refugee status. So Boerblom, I don't know the outcome of that case. I would encourage them, if they want to come over, to go ahead and do it. But if I were the adjudication officer, I'll tell you what, that would definitely weigh heavily on my decision. That's me personally. I don't work for USCIS. I'm not an adjudication officer. But I can tell you that it would weigh heavily on me. People who can't follow the rules, who intentionally subvert our system, so yeah, they should try. But I mean, hey. Richard wants me to look into the post about the teacher complaining about a student from South Africa. Well, there's nothing there. I just looked at it. Dwayne says 3-year-old daughter's jiving in your song. That's cool, man. Security companies at the centers are South African. Yeah, they're G4S. Door was open during my USCIS interview. The guest house, security guards could hear everything. And Travel Mzansi guides, did they close the door upon your request, or did they disregard your request? Okay. Thank you for sharing that. What paperwork is needed? A passport, divorce decrees, marriage certificates, birth certificates. That's it, generally speaking. Yeah, Mark. Vernon loves it. I think it's a bit of a problem, to be honest. Well, I would agree with you, Dio. That is a problem. There should be nowhere near it. There should be nobody who is not a USCIS representative or RSC anywhere near a refugee conversation interview. I find this implausible. I have never done a background investigation, interviewed a suspect, or interviewed a person for a background investigation where anybody could hear my conversation. It just doesn't work that way. I'm shocked to hear you're saying this has happened. I'm genuinely shocked. That should never happen. What you're saying is true. This is a serious issue. Work People 14 Rand, thank you for the news. You're very welcome. Sharon says, did you hear us? No. Giselle. Hey, Giselle Musique. Is that Johan or Giselle? You like that one, huh? You like that one? We could do the Trump is the, no more poor Jan. Now it's Trump, yep. Teresa, welcome. Passport, yep. What did Chris Saylor say? Because ballroom dancing, go for the trophies. Delay case on purpose because they're upset with Trump. No, I don't, Janine. I've said that before. Okay, first off, stop saying Church World Service. Everyone stop that. It's not Church World Service. It's Regional Support Center, RSC. They are a subsidiary of Church World Service. That's who's processing you. I know they call themselves Church World. They're RSC, okay? RSC. If they fail to perform their contract, they lose their contract. So if they're caught doing that, they're going to face a serious issue. So I don't think they're doing that. I do think on this side, they have a lack of oversight of their case officers, and it leads to all kinds of problems. It's an unreasonable to ask for some kind of reassurance, at the very least, feedback from USCIS that we have not been forgotten. No, it's not unreasonable, but it would be unreasonable to expect a response. It's not unreasonable to ask. I have no problem with that. People want to send a message, you do what you got to do. But it's unreasonable to expect a response. I don't think you're getting a response. These people are overwhelmed. There's so much going on. All right, let me get to this. Yeah, so it's not unreasonable. I mean, this is one of the major complaints I've had about the program. People are owed, timely responses. I'm in the wrong spot. Here we go. Now the right folder now. I got to look this up because it's not for cons. I remember what it is not for cons. Come on, where are you? There it is. That's not it. Oh, where are you hiding it? Come on. Oh, come on. That's the Steve song. That's not the one I want. Oh, come on. Where's the song? There it is. Finally. Here you go. Thank you, Nikki. 140 Rand Super Chat.
Vir 300 jaar was hy die enigste naam, die ou in die hoed wat al die skuld geneem het, arme ou Jan met.
Okay, cool beans. 10% is less than 1% of white South Africans. Of course it is. There's 4.8 million white South Africans, but the program is not for white South Africans. I don't understand your point. It's not for white South Africans. And 10,000's more than anyone else gave. What's your point? There's 4.8 million white South Africans, 6 to 8 million colored South Africans, 1.3 million Indian South Africans, and a handful of black South Africans who qualify for the program. So we're talking 8, 12.8, 13.1, 14 million plus South Africans who are eligible for this program. And you're talking about less than 1% of white folks. No. Come on, dude. No.
Sy Nederlandse oosvloed, vestig winkel op 'n straat in Kaapstad. Die ANC het 'n gunsteling reël gehad. As dinge verkeerd loop, is dit 'n Jan gemaakte ontwerp. Van die moenie trek tot die wenners parade. Elke enkele skuld was 'n prys wat Jan betaal het. Voorkoor. O, die geskiedenisboeke kry rus. Ons het 'n nuwe ou gevind om op die proef te stel. Sit die portret weg. Bære die ou veerpin. Daar is 'n splinternuwe skak vir die politieke wetsontwerp. Koor, ons verruil die Jan-kaart vir 'n Trump-kaart. Dis die blink nuwe manier om die blamspel hard te speel. Gaan die krag uit, is die pad vol gate. Moenie na die begroting of die kieserspeilings kyk nie. Draai net daar die kaart om, sien die goue hare. Die dom is die rede vir die slytasie. Ons verruil vandag die Jan-kaart vir 'n Trump-kaart.
We'll get back to that in a second. I missed Leo Vinyansa van Rensburg's super chat. Remember, super chat, Ken, see elections are coming. Haven't seen so many traffic lights working, potholes being fixed. 100%, 100%. And Delia said that RSC hung up on her tape. If I heard her earlier during the news, if I heard correctly, she said she was called after that story broke on the Daily Wire. So then they called you and they hung up on you? Well, that's rude.
Die infrastruktuur verkrummel. Die krane loop leeg. Maar moenie vra hoe.
West Coast Bees, all I can say is that if people want to report that behavior, they can report it to that platform. I can't do anything because I don't have access to those videos. So I understand her video on YouTube was removed and she got a strike. That's what I hear from people. So, yeah, so.
En moenie vra hoekom? Nie vergeet die jare van dieselfde ou groep. Die oranje man en Daisy kom vir jou. Ongelykheid styg. Dis 'n Mar-a-Lago komplot. Hy is so gemeen en boos. Glo dit of nie. Die oorspronklike gangster is uit-ideer, want Jan van Riebeeck is nie meer moordnieuws nie. Brag is die nuwe sondebok. die vars allebei. Wanneer die beloftes in 'n leuen verander, koers sluit aan. Amerika is gemeen, die wêreld is so koud. Dis die beste storie wat nog ooit vertel is. Kry jou kaart, speel jou deel, gitaar, sing dit is solo. Ons reël die jankkaart vir 'n trumpkaart. Dis die blind nuwe manier om die blomspul hard te speel. Gaan die krag uit, is die pad vol gate. Moenie na die begroting of die kieserspelings kyk nie. Draai net daardie kaart om, sien die goue hare. Die don is die rede vir die slytasie. Ja, ons reël vandag die jankkaart vir 'n trumpkaart.
Say I missed a few more super chats. I'm going to get to those now.
Ons reël die
Jankkaart.
Tot ziens, Jan.
Tot ziens, Jan. See you later.
Hallo, Don.
Hello, Don.
Dis nou alles sy skuld. Elke liewe bietjie daarvan.
Tot ziens, Jan.
Kyk na die kaart, baba.
Laaste vonkel in die sintklokkie.
Trading in the on card for the Trump card. Yes. So Alan Gill gave a $10 super chat. Thank you. To answer your previous question, over 2 decades ago during a typhoon, the Mozambique gift givers receiving the bulk of their money from the Muslim Brotherhood out of Qatar. Thank you for that, Alan. Thank you for $10. James Naval with his 12-month membership. Salute, much respect. Thank you, James. Sorry I missed that. And good thing I went back for the other one. Work people, thank you, Colonel Chris, for the news. 14 Rand, thank you for that. Have I caught up with the super? Oh, there's one from Nicolene Venter. I already saw that. 140 Rand, thank you for that. Okay, what else we got here? Making sure I'm not missing any more. Okay, it doesn't look like I missed any more super chats. Stay off my lawn. We can play that in a second. James made me a card. Thank you. The more you speak, the more you show your breed. Very with some people's comments. Okay. Matthew Stewart says, after my application, I received no confirmation reference number. I'm assuming this is a common occurrence. Worried application not received. Can't find no email correspondence. Well, Matthew, odds are you never submitted your application. You must push submission at the bottom, and then on the screen will appear submitted. I've told people from November 4th, from that day, over and over again, take a photograph with your mobile phone or do a screen capture and save it so you know it's been submitted. Otherwise, you have no idea. So, Matthew, I don't have an answer for you. When did you do this? And did you follow my instructions, or you maybe didn't know about my instructions? Anyway. Yes, Cool Beans. They always say white. Well, I correct the record all the time. So you can say that on their channels, but here, or on their platforms, but here I get it correct. Did anyone else get a call today? I don't know if anyone else got a call. Good question. It must show submitted. Yep. Loretta, you sent a super chat. Okay, my apologies. Let me go look for that. Okay, let me make sure I didn't miss any, since I don't want to miss anybody's super chats. You donate money. You deserve to, have your question or your comment addressed, as long as it's not rude. Super chats. Let me look at this. Let's see all. Here we go. So, Nicolene, work people, Alan Gill, Loretta. Oh, Colonel, I've sent you a WhatsApp of Clan William Dam. Water not suitable for consumption after flood. Photos and videos personally taken. Loads of crap came down. Ugh. Everything for you for so many people. Thank you so much for the 140 Rand, Loretta. Thank you. I apologize for missing it. Bitter Ender gave 19 Rands to Super Sticker. Sharon Gosselin, 35 Rand. Lindy Jordan, the $9 I saw. Chaos Juggler, 350 Rand. I saw that. Bonnie Duplessis, 35 Rand. Herman Rust, 140 Rand. Alan Gill, $19. Wow, there's a lot of super chats in this stream, guys. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Fonz gave 5. That's last night. Okay. Sharon started with 35 Rand. Debbie, 350. Chardon Gosselin gave a 70 Rand super sticker. And then Bitter Ender, 40 Rand, said, Rolf the White Ambassador, dim the lights. Yep. And then Amelia Lowe, 40 Rand. Dion Seeley, 40 Rand. I got that one. And the Ellen, $19 super sticker. I think I'm caught up. I got everything now. And then, yeah, I caught them all. Thank you. Thank you, Loretta. Apologies for that. It wasn't intentional. There's a lot of youngsters don't even know about the program. Yeah, that's true. All right. So someone wanted me to play Not on My Lawn. Is that the one? Lawn. Stay off my lawn. That's the one you wanted. It's like a Friday here. We're having like a Friday, guys. It's like a Friday. Yeah, WhatsApp and Facebook groups are dangerous. Yes, there's an outbreak of Ebola. I've been covering it for days.
Stay off my lawn, it's not a campsite. No FEMA tents, no late night fights. No refugees, no wild parades. This castle's mine, no renegades. Hit the road, Jack, don't spin me tail.
Thank you for the 14 rand.
Like rusty nails. Stay off my lawn, keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no song. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. Keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no song. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. Lie, lawn, lawn, lawn. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn, lawn, lawn. Drying laundry on my hedge fence. Drawing crowds with your nonsense. This ain't a stage, it's my domain. Take your drama down the lane. Pitch a tent where the shadows fall. Not on my grass, not by my wall. No soapbox speeches, no rally calls. This yard's a fortress you can't install. Stay off my lawn, keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no song. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. Keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong, no fires, no song. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. My lawn, my lawn. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn, my lawn.
Lee, that's a long time. PRM, SOI, intake. Make sure you did intake questionnaire. Stay off my lawn! Keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong.
No fires, no song.
Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn.
Keep it moving, keep it gone. No flags, no biltong. No fires, no song. Sorry, not sorry, stay off my lawn. My lawn, my lawn. Sorry, not sorry, off my lawn, my lawn. Lawn, my lawn, my lawn. Sorry, not sorry.
No FEMA tents here. Keep it moving. Oh, you want the Iranian one? Well, that one we'll do the video for. Yes, you want the Iranian song? Well, we'll do that one for a video because we got video footage for that one. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Here we go. Once we sailed the seven
Once we
seas.
sailed the seven seas in the Iranian Navy, with a swagger in the breeze. In the Iranian Navy, we could do as we pleased, hearts full of pride and bravado. Once we arrogantly threatened every nation on the breeze. In the Iranian Navy.
Thank you, Loretta, for the 14 rand. Raise up your glass and sing it loud and wavy.
For the bold and brave sight of
Our Iranian Navy.
From the Gulf to the foam of the Western Sea, we were masters of the tide and the spray. But the wind has turned and the cannon's gone silent. Who now will answer our plea? Once we ruled the raging foam, now we've no fleet to call our own. In the Iranian Navy, we tacked into the wind with our beards so well trimmed. In the Iranian Navy, steel beneath our boots and salt upon our skin. In the Iranian Navy, our friends invited us to Cape Town, proud and free and bold. Sailors on shore leave at Simonstown. Stories bought and sold.
No, Mitchie, you do not know your police clearance. Why would we trust a corrupt country?
Our presence made Arab nations tremble. Our blockade made oil prices treble. All together, the bold, brave, mighty sight of our Iranian Navy. Oh, raise up your glass and sing it loud and wavy for the roar and roll of the Iranian Navy. From the straits to the storm-lashed quay, we were thunder on the sea, but the dice were cast and the wager played, and pride went down with the fleet. Now we sing in taverns dim and cold of stories grand and growing old. Then the Iranian Navy, our supreme leaders played chicken with the dawn. Now all our ships are gone, rusting at the bottom of the sea. With whom shall we plea? In the Iranian Navy, mighty no longer sailing a lost dream. We see our song of lament and anger scream. Twisted hoax of metal lie, billowing flames of despair. And a mighty Iranian Navy is no more, just smoke upon the air. We want to surrender, we have no future. We can't even get a dinghy in the water. No harbor light, no guiding star, no compass left to steer us far. So raise up your glass and sing it loud and wave for the ghosts of the Iranian Navy. Though the fleet lies cold beneath the foam, we'll drink to the days we ruled the brine. For once we sailed the seven seas and did as we pleased in the Iranian Navy. Once we sailed the seven seas. Ha! Once we sailed the seven seas. Iranian Navy.
Ships that are no more, ships that have all disappeared, all sunk to the bottom of the sea. The Iranian Navy, yes, that's what it once was. What's William Petzer in emergency communication to Congress? Anybody know what that is? I'm not sure. Loretta, thank you for the 14 Rand. Delia applied the moment it opened. She has been approved, so she's just waiting to get out. That raid on Woodmead might be the problem. Mitchie's essay showed, do you need a police clearance? No. Why would we take a police clearance from a country that's persecuting you? Do you think we'd honestly think that you get an accurate and fair police report? Why would we do that? That doesn't mean we don't check police records in South Africa. It just means that they are not going to take a police clearance statement. That means nothing. Nobody gets a police clearance statement. That's something a communist country does. I don't need a police clearance statement to go do something in my country to prove that I'm not a criminal. Only communists would come up with something like that. Only communists would come up with something like that. Please show Baby Wyatt. Well, I did earlier. It's so funny. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. That wasn't working properly earlier. This video wasn't working. Let's see. Here we go. It's so funny. Yeah, they didn't like the Baby Wyatt. I broke the internet. Baby shark, doo 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 doo, baby shark, doo doo doo. Here we go with that. Oh my goodness. Baby Wyatt. That was cute. Who did that? Was it Kathy or something? Was it Danielle? I think Danielle did that. Make an exception for an 8-oxen wagon. Oh, in my yard? Such pity so many good South Africans never felt this country was their home and we have to leave to save our lives, says Bitterender. Okay. What comments became a free-for-all? So much disinformation. Not here. Not here. All right, what else have I missed here? Teresa gave a 35 Rand super chat. Thank you for that, Teresa. Okay. How long and how much must we lose and suffer before we find freedom and peace in our lifetimes? It's a fair question. I have a question. Bear with me if I answer millions of times. My mom is already an elderly lady, and we are struggling with fingerprints due to her age and hardworking hands. Well, then that's when they're going to have the police do it or get a police certificate or something like that. That's what they require. They'll tell you what to do. How are you struggling with fingerprints? You go get the fingerprints, and then they tell you have to go get it from police. So I'm not sure. Yeah, Baby White is cute. That was a nice job. September approved. Got a call today saying we fly out next month. Look at that, Just Chill. You got a call today. Did you get your flight information? That would be like the furthest in advance I've ever heard it. Are they listening to me? I've been criticizing them and telling them they need to fix this for ages. Are they telling you now a month in advance? That'd be amazing. Flights canceled in January, received a second approval last year. A bit confused, but that's good news. I hope so on the move. That's odd. It's happened in the past. Other oppressive governments have informed all the refugees leaving, given their personal information. That's like what's happened. That's not happening in South Africa. You have no evidence of that whatsoever. You have zero evidence of that whatsoever. Zero evidence. That's supposition on your part. Show me the evidence that your information has been surrendered to the South African government. Show me the evidence. Many of you have outed yourselves by going and getting passports because you don't have one, and then telling you need it because you're a refugee. Yeah, we haven't played the goat in a while. You're welcome, Pizza Party. Someone wanted to play the Wyatt Army. I think that was a Vodka Model. Did Vodka Model want me to play the Wyatt Army? Hey, Dion. Yeah, ships do make good artificial reefs. Okay, thank you, Travel Mzanzi. How do you keep finding this? And Dirko's website. I never found that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, let me go to their website and see. What's the date of that statement? I need a date. This doesn't help me. I mean, I need a date. You need to give me a date. Oh, okay. Not a month in advance. Okay, well then, what do you mean? I wouldn't believe them that you're leaving next month. I wouldn't believe them based on that information. I wouldn't get too excited. All right, so he wants the Wyatt Army. Okay, that's the wrong one. I need this one here. Wyatt Army. It's this one here, I think. Is it that one? Thank you, Travel Mzanzi.
The Wyatt Army marches on.
He can't post a link. He's not a moderator. But he can tell me where to find it.
For decades in the uniform, he held the line so tight, defending freedom everywhere from morning into night. From Europe down to Africa, the Middle East and home. The colonel hung his boots up, thought he'd rest his weary bones. He looked upon the...
You're not listening. He can't post a link. He's not a moderator. I've asked him to tell me the date of it. I'll find it and I'll post the link. No, I know, Amelia. What did Willem Petzer say? I'm asking what he said. What's this emergency thing?
Today, the chaos and the noise.
No, you're not blocked, Gary.
The messy circus of the digital decoys. He couldn't sit in silence, no, he couldn't look away. He waited in the battle, ready for a brand new day. They tried to shut the signal down, the shadow and the band, but you cannot stop the spirit of a mission-driven man. Folks took notice of the voice, the clarity, the spark, and gathered round the fire. He lit inside the dark, and the Wyatt Army marches on. The signal is steady, the confusion is gone. We don't need the fancies from the leftist side. We've got the colonel and the truth as our guide. Yeah, the Wyatt Army marches on until the fake news twilight turns to dawn. We see the objective, we know where we belong. The Wyatt Army marches on. From the loyal subscribers to the trolls beneath the bridge, to the hate wankers hiding on the digital ridge. It matters not who's listening.
Nothing on the website at 9 May. 8 May, 11 May.
Got the drive to open up the mind. Legacy media serving up the lens of lies and fake. But we shatter all the mirrors for the future's sake. Energy and enthusiasm breaking through the screen. The sharpest
Nothing on 9 May.
the world has ever seen. They tried to shut the signal down, the shadow and the band, but you cannot stop the spirit of a mission-driven man. We see the objective, yeah, we see it crystal clear. The army is assembled and
I'm on the Durka website. There's nothing on May 9th. Is it on X? Nothing on May 9th on their X account either. 6, 7, 11. Nothing on May 9th on their website. Where did he get that nonsense from? Where did Willem Petzer get that from? That's nonsense. That's utter nonsense, folks. That's simply not true. Where did he get that information from? Willem Petzer, let's see.
The White House.
Okay, first off, it says we're tripling refugee cap to 17,000. That's not accurate either. We're not even doubling it. Well, we're doubling it from 7,000 to another 10,000, 17,000. So, yeah. The White House not call for. I'm going to have to watch this. It's not true. It's not true. He's not called. They're not calling for immediate evacuation off our continent. That is simply not true. Sorry, that's not a true statement. Yes, you get an SF number when you have a case. If you don't have a case, if you have a U, you don't have a case. That's not a case. Wyatt Army marches on. Did you like that vodka model? Okay. 13 months in pyramid, also just still waiting for his country. That's crazy, Mari. That's crazy. That's a long time. Durko calls for discussion after first person shows up at Ghana evacuation flight. Everybody's leaving South Africa. The South Africans are leaving. The Ghanaians, Ethiopians, the Nigerians, everybody's fleeing South Africa. Thank you to the ANC. The ANC's made everybody leave South Africa. Oh my goodness. Everybody wants out now. Oh my goodness. Mark, let's vote ANC.
Stood on the stage in the Davos snow, selling a story that wasn't quite so. A signature dried on a land theft bill, 34 days past the bottom of the hill. Too late for the court, too late for the plea, just a sleight of hand for the world to see. They thought they could hide it in the mountain air, but the clock was ticking and the truth was there.
Oops, the ain't did it again, playing a game they're never gonna win. They're spinning the wheels while the bridge is burning, but the rest of the world, yeah, the tide is turning.
Yeah, they're doubling down on a broken trend.
Oops, the ANC did it again. And then the mantra started, a familiar sound. Trump is ill-informed, they passed it around like the biggest intel net the world has known. Doesn't see the seeds that the party's sown.
Luther the House tried to paint it all fake, but the harder they push, the more it would break. That domestic charm might play in the streets, but it falls on deaf ears when the world stage meets.
Oh, oops, the ANC did it again, playing a game they're never gonna win. They're spinning the wheels while the bridge is burning, but the rest of the world, yeah, the tide is turning.
Yeah, they're doubling down on a broken trend.
Oops, the ANC did it again.
A door swung open for the tired and the
Karen,
few Afrikaners colored and
Karen, in the email, you need to tell me what you want to talk about. You've sent me emails, and you're not telling me what you want to talk about.
Indians too, but Pretoria panic, trying to gum up the work, slow down the pace where the shadows lurked.
Denied the visas, raided the site, trying to keep the exodus out of the light. Then they went rogue, went way out of line, crossing a border they shouldn't define.
Sue, diplomat man, that's a red card. card you're playing for keeps, but you're playing too hard. An own goal seal, a diplomatic sin. Where does the madness end and the logic begin? Washington's watching, the hammer's gonna fall. You can't run astray and expect to stand tall.
Did it again, playing a game they're never gonna win. They're spinning the wheels while the bridge is burning, but the rest of the world, yeah, the tide is turning.
Yeah, they're doubling down on a broken trend.
Oops, the ain't seen.
Yeah, the hammer's coming.
Don't you think?
They did it again.
Straight red card.
Oops, they did it again.
Yeah.
Oops, they did it again.
Yeah, the hammer's coming.
Don't you think?
They did it again.
Straight red card.
Oops, they did it again.
Yeah. Oh, 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 yeah, they did it again.
All right, thank you for the link. Someone just sent it to me. I'm going to print this off. Gotta wait and see if it. Okay, come on. I'm not a bot. Making printer friendly. Why didn't just? Oh, this is retarded. Print. 3 pages. Okay. I only need 2 pages of it. Other one's a waste of paper. 2 pages. Pages 1 through 2. 1 through 2. Make sure the printer's working. It's working. That's good news. All right, so let me go back to where that document was. I want the PDF of it. PDF. Okay. All right, let's see what it says. This is what you guys said. I can find that. So, I don't doubt people, but again, I couldn't find it. So, let me show you very quickly here. So, that's their statements. Okay, media statements, 13, 12, 11 May, 8 May. There's no 9 May in there. So then I went to X, and here's 11 May, and there's 11 May, 7 May. There's no 6 May. There's no, so it's not on either one of those. So, all right, but I have it now. So it says the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation confirms that Deputy Minister Alvin Boats had a cordial meeting with the United States Deputy Secretary of State Chris Wyatt on May 9th. Discussion follows engagements via diplomatic channels with the government, expressed concerns, information conveyed to the United States had commenced the process of alleged refugees from South Africa will begin resettling citizens of the United States. Noting that the internationally recognized definition of refugees is set out in the 1951 Convention and the 51 Refugee Convention and the 67 Protocol. The Convention defines refugees as someone who has a well-founded fear of persecution. Exactly. Based on race, religion, nationality. South Africa acknowledges the determination of refugee status requires a factual assessment in light of prevailing circumstances, having due regard for both subjective and objective factors. We iterate the allegations of discrimination are unfounded. Well, you're wrong. South African Police Services statistics on farm-related crimes, that's nothing to do with it. Do not support allegations of violent crimes targeted farmers, generally, particularly in race. But we also know that the South African Police Service lies. I proved that last year with the murder of a 78-year-old man who was tortured and murdered on his farm outside Brits, and the police listed it as a house robbery, not as a murder. So the South African Police Service cannot be trusted. So they can cite SAPs all they want. They're an unreliable source of information. There are sufficient structures available within South Africa to address concerns of discrimination. No, there aren't. No, there aren't. There are no structures to address this discrimination. 145 race-based laws. Moreover, even if there are allegations of discrimination, it is our view that these do not meet the threshold of persecution required of domestic. It's your view, but you're idiots, so it really doesn't matter. It is most regrettable that it appears that resettlement of South Africa to the United States under the guise of being refugees is entirely politically motivated. Well, that's your dumb opinion and designed to question South Africa's constitutional democracy. No, we don't question democracy. We know it's a fake democracy. A country that has, in fact, suffered true persecution under apartheid, that ended 32 years ago. You can milk that cow all you want, but it's run dry. And has worked tirelessly to prevent such levels of discrimination from ever occurring again. No, you've implemented 145 race-based laws. You discriminate against people based on skin color. You haven't worked to end apartheid. You haven't ended racial discrimination. You've put it on steroids, including through the entrenchment of rights in our Constitution, which you ignore. You're stealing property from people, which is in violation of your Constitution. Your Constitution doesn't mean anything. You piss and crap on your Constitution every day, which is enforced vigorously through judicial system is a joke. The arms scandal, no one's prosecuted. Shabir Sheikh let out of prison despite the fact that he's guilty. Terminal disease, 15, 16 years later, he's still living. Give me a break. In addition, it's not clear how the principle of non-refoulement will be applied in relation to these citizens once they're resettled. Through progressive judgments from South African courts, particularly Constitutional Court, our state has demonstrated a principled commitment to protect minorities and vulnerable groups, which shows the extent to which South Africa is working towards a country in which every citizen is free and protected. That's poppycock. While South Africa challenged the United States assessments of alleged refugee states, it will not block citizens who seek to depart their country from doing so. It also observes the right of freedom of movement and freedom of choice. But you don't reserve that right of freedom of movement and freedom of choice to the South Africans in your government who came to America or to AfriForum or Solidarity. You sought to call them treasonous because they exercise their constitutionally guaranteed rights. So you're full of crap. You're full of crap. Hey, thank you, David, for 14 months. Specifically, the right to leave the country is contained in Section 21, Section 2 of the Constitution. Funny how Alvin Boats and Durko referenced that section of the Constitution, which I referenced last year when they called AfriForum and Solidarity treasonous, and Corne Mulder treasonous. However, it's essential that in doing so, the South African ensures it's compliant with other domestic laws. Through the diplomatic channels, the Department of International Relations has sought the following: the status of persons will be departing, whether it's asylum seekers, refugees, or ordinary citizens, assurances as to whether the person has been appropriately vetted. African authorities, the government still remains dead. Okay, guys, no, you're wrong. See, I'm not going to fall for fake news. You want me to say that's not true. This statement does not say there's an agreement between the U.S. government and South Africa. It says what the South African government demands. They can demand in one hand, and they can take a crap in the other hand. And guess which hand's going to fill up first? There is no agreement here. There's no agreement. That's the statement. No agreement. No agreement. Nothing. They sought the following. They didn't get it. They sought it. Folks, you got to read. You got to comprehend. You got to understand. There is nothing here that says that the U.S. government is giving information to the South African government. Nothing. And like the gentleman said, when they ask you why you want this document, because I'm applying for my veterans pension. Don't trust them. Well, I don't trust them either, Cool Beans. But are you just reinforcing what I'm saying? Or are you saying, who do you want you to trust? The U.S. government? You had a magistrate attack you with a brick. Well, that's crazy. Yeah, Ramaphosa was in Zimbabwe. Now he's in Botswana. What's next? Namibia, so he can avoid the impeachment? Anyway. Where are we at here? All right, where are we at? Guys, you guys are telling me, and you told me it was May 9th. I went and I got the link. But there's nothing here that says what you claim, that the U.S. government has agreed to share information with South Africa. That's not there. I'm not trying to call people out, but it's not there. It's not what we don't know. Cool Beans, I don't know that's what you, again, the people made the claim, but here, it's not here. It's not here. It's not here. Everyone sends me an urgent email, Corey. And Johan Landman sent me information. Yeah, so yeah, I'm smiling, Corey. Urgent email. Okay, there's two statements. One from Durko, one from South African government. Okay, when was one from South African government? That's from Durko. And that says nothing. Okay, let's go to South African government. Okay, let's go to South African government website. See, this is, people do this all the time. They say there's something and then they tell me and I go look and I can't find it. All right, South African government. Speeches and statements. Okay. A few more speeches and statements. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can find it. Media statements, okay. May 9th. May 8th, May 10th. Nope, nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there from the South African government. Yeah, expected a bigger smile. You expected a bigger smile. No, you didn't get it. Anyway, yeah, guys, I mean, look, it's not there. It's not there. Thank you, but it's not there. It's just not there. Okay, now I've got that statement saved, so I save it as a PDF. Send me WhatsApp. What's up? All right, okay, well, that's been fun. How are we doing here? We've been at this for 2.5 hours. Wow. All right, 300 people still here. Y'all having fun? Are y'all having fun? You know, we peaked at 700 and 801 people on the stream. Wow, that was when we had Trump on. I guess Trump left. Nobody wanted to stay. Well, not nobody. A lot of you stayed. Dirtco links. Oh, sanews.gov. Okay, thank you. I see that. Thank you for that. I got that. Okay. Okay. That says the same thing. It's the same statement. Through diplomatic channels, DIRCO's requests the following information. Status persons will be departing. We can't do that. That violates South African law. I think somebody mentioned that earlier. Does it not? I have to check that. I think someone mentioned. Scout List is under South African Refugees Act, international data protection laws. Individual asylum seeker refugee identities are strictly classified and kept confidential to protect safety. South African Refugee Act. Let's look that up. So you guys just gave me a story here. You just gave me a story here. So, and this is the actual story I can work with here. Let me see if I can find that in the law of 1998. Okay. Okay. 130, 1998. Okay. Let's see what it says. Rights. Okay. Oh, geez, there's not much here. Complete Amended Act. I want the Complete Amendment Act. Okay. Okay. PDF format. Here we go. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like there's if they've requested that, then they're violating their own law. They talk about adhering to the law. Yep. Okay, I'm going to have to read through this. This is 37 pages, so that ain't going to happen right now. Okay, what's the latest amendment act? 2000 was when it was. 2005 was last checked, November 20th, 2005. So, refugee status, station. Let me look. What's the word I'm looking for? Protection. Let me just. So it's identities. There we go. Thank you for that, Scoutalicious. You work in the legal field, I wonder. Fine. Oh, it's not going to work that way. I got to open up the PDF because. So give me a second here. There we go. That's not what I wanted. Open with Adobe Acrobat. My goodness. Come on. Play nice. Okay. Now I need to search for this term. Where's my search at? Where'd it go? Ugh, yeah, I don't want that. Stop it. Where's the damn search button? They're always changing. There it is, up there. Paste. Identities. Okay. All right. So no results. It doesn't show. Okay, identity. 11 matches for identity. Identity, document to refugee. Identify. No, nothing there. No, there's nothing. It says that, and I'll have to read through the act. It may say it differently, but there's nothing in there that says that. So, well, yeah, cool beans. See, I didn't just buy it. So those statements don't say that. It doesn't say the U.S. government is sharing. It doesn't say that. It does not say that. So I will look into this. So rather than just go with it. So anyway, all right, cool beans. Now we're down 340. Some people left. Scoutalicious, thank you, but I can't find that document. I'm going to have to read through it and see, but that's going to have to be something for tonight after the launch, okay? Because right now I got other stuff I got to get done when I finish here. So anyway, does anybody watch my video on, not a whole lot of people, on the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Association? Anybody watch that? This looks like about 6,000 people might have watched it here. 6,200. Not a lot. 111 comments. Let me see how it's doing on the Facebook. Okay, you guys did. Thank you. Yeah, and Northern Ireland, there's an AI-generated image of Steve and Snotcop and Liesl Peters. Steve knows Liesl Peters. Why can't I get her for an interview? Come on, Steve, help me out. I want to interview her. I don't know if I want to interview her anymore. I wanted to interview her a long time ago. Okay, let's see. So that one's got 10,000 views on YouTube. It's got, or not on YouTube, Facebook, excuse me. Okay. Yep. Yep. So anyway, the Dreamers Retreat is my husband. Okay. Same issues in Ohio. Are you in Toledo? Oh, Mario watched it. Okay. The weak point in the system. There's multiple weak points. There are several pillars that are. There's number one. Again, it's in-country FG, which we haven't done in a long time. That's a problem. By now, they should have overcome that. It's been a year. I'm not sure they've overcome that. Number two, we're relying on a contractor based in Africa. That's a problem. Number three, the interference of the South African government and its obstruction of this program has been massive. I've not even reported all the things the South African government has done to interfere with this program. There's more. There's more. But it's sensitive. And in revealing some things the South African government is doing to prevent the refugee program from being successful would undermine it further, if that makes sense. Yep. So... tried to watch everything. Thank you, Delia. Okay. Yeah, but it's just not getting out to other people. Well, not everything, because I mean, there's a big difference between the 5,900. Oh, that Trump raised the cap video finally went over 10,000 after I complained about it on air. After 15,000, the numbers went up and down on that video. Now so the one I did about Memorial Day only has 882 views. So, okay. Good night, Scalicious. Okay, the claim about the agreement came from Reuters. It was never confirmed years ago. Oh, Reuters. Okay. Well, Reuters claimed that. So, yeah, see, so Reuters may be lying. They also keep saying white refugees. Undecided the unraveling U.S. diplomacy under Trump. Reuters investigates. So I go to Reuters. That's the first story. Inside the unraveling diplomacy under Trump. Oh my goodness. Let's try this. So refugees. Okay, let's see. I didn't see this Reuters story. Okay, well, that's not going to help me. South Africa, okay. South Africa refugees, okay. 23 April. So there's nothing from May here. Reuters has no story from May. So unless I've got the US feed. Thank you. All right, let me go back to the link you gave me because you gave it to me, so I don't know why I'm looking for it. Here it is, Reuters. Thank you. I'm getting silly here. Getting senile. No, I read this story. It's from Ted Hessen. There's no mention of that here. Guys, again, that's nonsense. There's no claim by Reuters of that. Guys, that you got to read things. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. No, there's nothing in that story. Guys, I read all three of those stories. There's nothing. Linda, Fundamental, 70 Rand, thank you. Okay, that helps me. Section 21. Okay. Yeah. So then that still gives me, this whole conversation gave me another story, though. Thank you for that. I'm glad you found it. You guys are helping me out here. It's like having my own AI. Heinrich Havanga, thank you, brother. You've just saved me some trouble. That'll give me another story here. Yep. That's another story. So there you go. Okay. That's section 21, paragraph 5. Okay. Cool. Wow. I'm glad we stayed on this long because now let me go back and find that. Come on. Downloads. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Section 21. Okay. Section H, Section 21, spouse dependence asylum, application for asylum. Okay, Section 21. Section 21, application for asylum. Okay, and it's going to be, which one was it he said? Paragraph 5, I think it was. Section 5, okay. Section 1, 2, 3, 5. The confidentiality of asylum applications information contained within must be ensured at all times except that the refugee appeals authority may on application. Conditions deems warrant allow any person in the media to attend. Okay, no, I read that. Yeah, okay, well, basically that sentence, yeah, that means the confidentiality of asylum application information contained must be ensured at all times. Yeah, so confidentiality. So the government of South Africa, okay, that half sentence, that clause, yep. Yep. Yeah, no, I saw that, but that doesn't really fully address it. But thank you for that. That'll help me. I don't know if you already answered this. No, I already answered that, Walker. No, no. You don't need a police clearance. We don't trust your police clearances. The only time you need something from police is if they tell you to go get it from police. Good night, Vessa. All right. Hey, Defrosted Fonz, what's going on? All right, guys, I need to wrap up here. Okay, I haven't eaten today, and it's already almost 3 o'clock. Thank you all for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. Wow, it's a pretty awesome stream today. We've hit 6,400 views, average view time of 12.5 minutes. That's pretty good. Yep, all right. But anyway, so that story, there's no confirmation. The Reuters story doesn't claim that. The government doesn't claim it. And the Durka statement doesn't claim it, the same one. None of them claim that. They claim what they've asked for. They've claimed what they've asked for. They sought the following. But that's none of their business. And that violates South African law. So I'm going to point that out. It's how stupid the South African government is. They sought information that's illegal for them to obtain. That's a story. Thank you all for helping with that. I will make a video about that tonight. All right? Okay, well, send me the screenshot, Oreza. Send me the screenshot, okay? All right? Send me that screenshot, okay? That's why it's important to download articles or save them. That was actually, I wonder if I saved that article. I might have saved that article. Let me see. So documents, Reuters, let me see. Because I read that article when it came out, May 8th. No, that's the impeachment. That's not what I'm looking for. Okay, I have to look at my news articles then. Okay. Anyway, well, yeah, send me the screenshot. So, what's the date of these? May 7th. No, I don't have that article saved. Screenshots are great. Stephen, why do you think they increased the quota now? Because, presumably, because they have more capacity. Presumably. No, I didn't hear that, Andres. There's no such statement like that. Where is Willem Petzer getting? I have to watch his video because I know nothing about that. He doesn't offer any links. I have to watch the video because you all didn't tell me where he got it from. You're just telling me it was said. Yeah, so I can't. I don't relay rumors. We just squashed a couple rumors here tonight. You made an appointment on my phone, Sharon. Okay. All right. That's it, guys. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed it. All right. Yeah, also, they've got so many applications there so that they're doing it. All right, guys. Cheers. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button before you walk out the door. Bye-bye.